Hi.
Hello. Hey, Catspaw. Glad you could tune in. He's not with us here tonight. He's actually back at our other place. He's doing this all remotely. Glad you can make it, Nazumi. And we got a couple of people, I think, in the chat that are new or at least haven't been here very often. Mustard Tower, hello. Glad you could join us. And
Electric B7, I think you've been here before.
yeah.
You see here, let me scroll, grab, there we go.
Hey,
Ha-ha, I can
Nazumi.
control you guys now. You will be humiliated. Yeah. Power Mustard, hello.
Yes.
So you sneak in, sneak out, and then sneak back in. Aha, you can't get away from us. And who else we got here that is new? Valor have you been here before?
Yeah, Valor has been here before. I'm pretty certain.
Okay.
They can't make it all the time.
And Sailor Seal Gary. I think you've been here once.
Just,
All going through the brain. You know, there we go.
Yep.
So
And Midnight Blaze, hello. Glad you can make it.
Hello to all the new people. Hello to all the old people. I'm an old people, so hello to me.
And so for the folks who are kind of, new, once again, I'm Baron. This is Caradwin. We usually do this on Saturday night, but this Saturday, we're all going to be at BabsCon. So tonight we're going to be doing a very special stream. We happen to have here in the studio Robert Morris, a.k.a. Clear Skies, the creator of the Roan RPG, and he's going to be here tonight basically talking about the game, and I'm going to be doing some Roan-related artwork and everything.
Sweet.
Speaking about art.
Yeah, of another sort. Well, let's say it's actually very slightly warm today, so we need to cool down.
Exactly.
It's time for brain lubricant. All right, so as I just barely remembered, just before the show, oh, I need ice, crap. Yeah, so we're doing sidecars tonight.
Do you need both cups or just one cup?
I can do a double and then split them up.
Okay,
because Robert gets one too.
Yes, I'll make sure these are staged and ready then.
All righty. So sidecar is one of the classic cocktails that goes back to 1920s or so, and it's basically lemon juice, fresh squeeze if you can. So I will put in about, it's a double, about that much, a little more. And it's also cognac or brandy. That's not brandy. That would be an interesting sidecar. There we go.
That would be a very interesting sidecar. Yeah, no, don't do that.
do not make it with Dorda.
No.
And here to about there. I'm making a double. I was not glug, 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 glug. That's the end of Baron now.
Yeah.
And,
so since I'm driving.
Yeah, and Cointreau, which is an orange liqueur. If you can't afford Cointreau, you use triple sec. Cointreau is the way. And then you take all of that together, and then you go.
They can see you in the reflection in the glass.
Aha! Wave to the people because they can see you. Yeah. Doesn't rattle quite as well because there's not as much room for moving.
Don't let that lid come off.
Whee!
Yes.
There we go. All right. Break the seal. Do the first one here. And I will have the proper twist and all that. So hold on a sec there. This is what you call the calibrated eyeball. Then, when somebody says a twist, what they mean is, the rind of some type of citrus, either, orange, lime, or, in this case, lemon. Right on the top, you just sort of go.
And you get some of the essential oils out of the rind.
Right, which are different in flavor than the juice. So it's very aromatic. And then, just because, I will go. And in case you're wondering, what's on the rim of the glass is coarse sugar.
Not salt.
Correct. You don't want salt. That's for Robert.
And we'll pass this over to him. Since I'm mic'd up, so I really can't get up.
Yeah, there we go.
Got it. Okay.
And that is the brain.
Yes.
That is the brain lubricant du jour. This is my brain lubricant right here. So, all right, everybody is lubricated up.
Yep.
So, having gone from that form of art, sugar, yes, Nazumi, sugar, 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 oh, boozy, boozy, and now here's some art now.
Yeah, that's like, oh, hi, here comes the G-Man. All right, since this weekend, we're going to be having BabsCon. This is a piece of artwork I did with Catspaw, Clear Skies, and myself as ponies. And some people have asked, will we be talking about the expansion book? Yes, close guys, we will be talking about. We'll be talking about the expansion. So part of the reason for the MASH 4077 look for people.
Alrighty, so we're going to have a bunch of studies of various characters tonight. First one is for a young lady named Black and Tan.
Yes, she's actually a character who shows up fairly routinely in my Equestria Dreamscape. She's the main bar mare at the Bucking Mare Tavern in Ponyville, and I see her almost every day. And I realized a while back I haven't drawn her in ages, so I need to fix that. Oh yes, no spoilers.
Yep. Yeah. Say spoilers. They have a special guest star on episode 1. It's Obama. No, wait, it's not. Yeah, okay. So, is that a JoJo reference? Not from Mojo Jojo. No. But we have a reference to Bloody Sunset.
Yes.
What nice title, by the way.
This is basically one of the Patreon attainment artworks I'm doing. People who have pledged over $100. They're not one of my slotted $50 a month patrons. But you give me $100, you'd need something for that. So I basically am going down the list, and one by one, I'm doing artwork. I'm doing basically a drawing for everybody. It's my way of saying thank you for the pledges you have made via Patreon.
Nice.
Mm-hmm.
Here's another character study. Dovetail.
Dovetail. This is going to be for an upcoming commission. This is actually a character from one of Patina's stories that she's writing in Equestria. It's a fictional character in this fictional universe.
It's a second order fanfic.
Yeah, exactly.
Indeed. So getting back to the first order, something a little bit less. Well, okay, it's definitely a picture where there's heat, but not that kind of heat.
Right, and for folks, you may be going, hey, if you're not one of my patrons on Patreon, you may be going, I haven't seen this artwork. This hasn't shown up on DeviantArt. It hasn't. The patrons get to see this stuff a week in advance. I'm just doing something kind of special tonight because of the con. You guys can see some stuff even before it shows up on DA. And this is Phoenix. And she's suddenly very, very curious about Corporal Trotter, who, of course, is the changeling in disguise. She can't put her finger on it, but there's just something about that guy, that stallion, that doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
And that bugs her.
Yeah. And Trotter knows very well that Phoenix, may be the most dangerous, equestrian that he ever meets. Yeah, because she will turn him inside out and not bat an eyelash. Probably literally.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Hey, Auntie Carrot.
Hey, Auntie. And getting back to as I get back to things a little bit more on the sweetness side.
Yep. Well, it's Stonemane has left. He's now off in Huffington, and good old Apple Bloom. She's still thinking about her, her bow of sorts, and she's figured out how to modify her locator pendant so that she can locate things not only in her dream fabric, but now she can tell wherever Stonemane's is, all the way across the dream realm. And she really, really wants to go. I'll go see him. But at the moment, Luna's saying, no.
You're on the clock.
Yeah, and no unchaperoned visits.
Exactly. Yeah. Okay, we're going to skip that one. We'll save that one for last.
Okay.
But we'll go to two other troublemakers.
Yeah, well, Rainbow Dash can be sometimes a bad influence, and sometimes she's pretty good. And she's been teaching me a lot about flying. And one of the things we did in this Dreamscape was do something you're really not supposed to do, and that's fly under one of the bridges in Ponyville. It's technically big enough. You can do it. But if you don't do it right, then, well, you end up being this kind of, greasy.
You pollute the stream.
The greasy, feathery, slimy blur on the side of the bridge.
Nice.
They actually put signs up that said, please don't fly underneath the bridge. And the mayor says they've been a great success, but other people will point out about, those pony-sized dents in the signs.
Yeah, well. So as long as you don't have to be the one scraping it up.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is sort of related.
Yeah, this is, for folks who've been following my stuff, I've been posting of Anthro MLP with that kind of action-adventure dream movie I had one evening, which is really kind of cool because Patina found it again and showed it to me another time, so I got to watch the movie over and kind of jot down some details. And one of the things that the equestrians had was these airships called Strikers. And they're these big, heavily armored
but
systems.
But it needs more DACA, apparently.
Nah, it doesn't need more DACA. But it's really quite a neat, cool design. And we're doing some more of the vehicles from that dream.
Yeah, paint it red, it'll go faster.
Yeah.
Yeah. Say, I like that anti-care mind field.
Yes.
That's what you have in Dreamscapes is mind fields.
Yes.
You step on thoughts that are dangerous to you. And we have a little time in the tank. So getting back to
something I was working on the last stream. This was one of the patron rewards for Tebow. And it's basically his character Chandra, the rabbit, made small, so that she could go swimming in Bettina's tank/aquarium with one of her borrowed sea lion suits. Because of course Bettina always has extras around for guests.
Of course, there must always be extra squeaky suits. And last but certainly not least, explain yourself, Mr. Engel.
What?
Nothing. Okay. Okay.
Great stream, folks. Good night, folks. No, this is basically a scene from my quest for Dreamscape. And originally, when Luna was reestablishing her night court, she was really kind of, bothered by this whole Mistress of the Night goth image that everybody was, kind of
projecting on her
and kind of pigeonholing her. And she resisted, and then she started realizing that most of all the ponies that were applying for positions for her night court basically fit the description of some goth pony. And she said, well, instead of trying to fight this whole thing, I'm just going to own it.
Yeah, lean into it.
So she's basically, and her court has adopted this entire kind of,
black leather and Doc Martens. Yeah.
And Apple Bloom is part of her night court, so she has some of the outfit.
Oh, my. All right, and then I say, okay, and then I say, that's the arts.
That's the main art stuff. Now.
But again, this show is going to be primarily about Roan.
Exactly.
All right, and actually, the Roan folks say they're working on an animation, and we have an animatic for you. Yeah, but we have an animatic for you, and you guys get to be the first one in the out in the wilds to see the animatics. Hello, Zephyr. I think you're new. Hi.
Hi.
And so now we're going to show you an animatic here, and we'll see what you guys think. So I will now go quiet here.
Tomorrow the world will seem a little clearer. The planets align and all will be revealed. Don't question it all, your dream is getting nearer. And you can tell the world just how you feel. Oh. The spinning roulette wheel, the lap of the gods. The odds are so good now, but the goods are all very odd. The eye of a black cat, one turn of a card, 1 foot of a rabbit, and your world is falling apart. Tomorrow the world will be more simpatico. Tomorrow the world won't make you feel so small. Whenever the world is threatening to be so, just wrap it up and throw it like a ball. Oh, 4 leaves of a shamrock, maybe a red shot. Your ship is in dry dock, and you'll never be what you're not. Just think what you can do. You can turn it around. You do what you have to, and you will be standing your ground.
Hey, maggots, I want you to understand something here. We have a very important person here tonight in the studio, and I want you to pay attention to this man. He's come all the way from the East Coast to tell you about the amazing world of Roan.
Sir, yes, sir.
You understand this, right?
Sir, yes, sir.
Good. Introduce yourself.
Hello, everybody, and welcome.
Yes, sir, yes, sir.
That means, hey, I pay his check. I outrank him. Hi, everybody. I hope you enjoyed the animatic. I'm Clear Skies, and I'm here as a guest. So, quick thing on the animatic. For those who might recognize some of the artwork, that is Captain Horse, who's known for doing animations such as the one that actually drew me towards him, Spitfire's Day Off. So, next to which you can find on YouTube. Aside from Spitfire's Day Off, he has a Tumblr series that follows the adventures of Spitfire's day-to-day life, and it's a bit of a interesting alternate history that we go through with Spitfire. More of a, the crazy stuff that happens for going with a massive sports star as a Wonderbolt. Again, hello everyone. Foxfire Glow for you folks who have the Roan book. Foxfire's actually done some writing for us, and I'm noticing a lot of familiar faces here. We got Octavia, we got Sunny, Agni, a lot of old crew, new crew, Sura, and again for many of you who did help us out in the
backers,
the backers, as always, thank you very much. Cover like the one you and Baron are wearing go for.
Let's see.
What we're wearing? Like, you're talking about the covers.
Our hats.
Well, I mean, I spent $20 on mine and had it shipped to me.
I spent $9 on mine this afternoon.
Yeah, but you have the benefit of an Army surplus store. I had to get mine online.
This is true.
Alrighty.
Yep.
Sorry, for a second there, I was
Campaign
thinking like
cover,
cover. Like the book? Oh, wait, no, not.
He gets the
He's
book.
talking about he's talking about the hat, indeed. Don't worry, I've got I'm an Army brat, so my dad was 160th, which kind of shows the drive of my love for all things military.
Yep. So yeah, we're gonna be tonight. We're gonna be talking about the Roan RPG, and we're going to be.
That's me, Nogni.
And Frank's like, yo, just tell me when I can help the Kickstarter again. Oh yeah, you'll hear about it.
Yes, you will.
Hey, Kitty.
Hey, Kitty. Basically, tonight we're gonna be talking about the Roan RPG. If you guys have any questions about the game, if you have purchased the game and you're not quite certain about some rules, this is the guy to ask. We're gonna be talking about what we're gonna be doing at BabsCon this week because we've got a table and we've got a panel we're gonna be doing, and we're gonna be doing a gaming demo at the convention.
I'm hoping to be able to run for Friday as well as Saturday. I do want to try to run at least 2 games per day if there's the possibility of a Sunday run. We don't know about Sunday because it's the same time that a lot of people got to pack up and unfortunately head out, which also Sunday is the same time that we will have our panel.
Right.
Which will be about 10 in the
10 from 10 to 11 roughly is what I have scheduled at the Solar Hall at BabsCon.
So Art Harbert wants to know where did the whole idea for Roan come from?
All right. Well, when it came to Roan itself, part of it was there were some people who were asking about the creation of an RPG tabletop. On the other side, it's kind of my love of RPGs. I've always enjoyed from Dungeons & Dragons, Hollow Earth Expedition, Pathfinder, Werewolf, the Apocalypse, even the Changeling and Vampire. So I said, we have. Most of you know David Silver. He made Pony Finder, utilizing the Pathfinder system. So Pony Finder practically covered all things fantasy, and where I was going is with the creation of Roan. I do enjoy the history that we have of World War I, World War II, as well as taken into the Korean War, as well as Vietnam. And so when I first started the creation of with Roan is very pulp. So we're looking at not the pulp of things like John Carter of Mars, except not going so well. I guess it's just as fantastic. We're just not on a going to another planet at this point. But
Not yet.
Oh, not yet. And there's definitely room for growth, which will be something that I'll tap on later. Especially, I'll be looking out for folks who like to write adventures and are good writers that I can work with. So one of the, well, it's Vietnam is unfortunately a very depressing thing. War itself is never, realistically, having a father who was in over in Somalia and so on and so forth, war is never a fun thing. That's why there is that separation of fantasy and realism, that we see the romanticization of what we see as war.
Yeah.
Compared to what is real.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of things also keep in mind. One of the things that Roan will recreate very, very well is things like Sky Captain in the World of Tomorrow. You can do Indiana Jones type adventures.
Where Eagles Dare, Casablanca.
Or even some of the stuff like, if you want to go in that kind of Lovecraftian horror, almost Hellboyish in some ways.
The options are pretty endless when it comes to this. And again,
I'll be giving them lots of Hellboy things in the next book.
Yes, yeah, especially coming up against the Rotvarians. So for those who've seen, and then for those who've at least gotten to go through the website and learn a little bit about Rowan, Rowan does focus on a very pulp, a very noir adventures. Plenty of great examples were dropped, including sci-fi, such as The Day the Earth Stood Still can be a great example, because something like that can drive characters towards what allows Pony Eyes Deadlands style RPG. It is a good option, though I will definitely say Deadlands. I love Deadlands for the Western, but the trouble I have is that you can't win against some of the upper tier bosses they made of. I know the Preacher that they had as one of the god tier monsters is find a stick and hit him with it, but it does a damage, but it's the only thing that can actually hurt and kill this guy. By the way, it's in the middle of the Great Plains of California that sunk into the ocean. Good luck finding it. And I'm sitting there just going, if you didn't want him to be, if you didn't want us to win, you could have just said so.
Yeah. Well, the other thing about Deadlands is that it's a great idea, but the rules writing is actually bad. Things like, okay, you have access to all the D&D spells, so we're just going to list the ones that you say that you can't cast. It's like, but...
You also need access to the Savage Worlds book, because it's a companion book. And as you know, the nice thing of Savage is, as a companion system, it takes advantage of that. But, oh boy, that's a lot of books to start pulling up.
Yeah. Oh, by the way, Roan or Rowan?
I always go. I bounce back and forth. I say I always bounce back and forth. Rowan and Rowan.
It's kind of tomato. I've gotten the impression, because
Rowan.
Yeah, I went online and watched a whole bunch of YouTube videos from horse shows, and some just call, this is a Rowan, or another next person said, that's a Roan.
Which I do understand. It is a breed. It is a breed or a description of a series of breeds as well. But for me, it's also the idea that I believe one of the Latin derivatives was also that Rowan was traveler and adventurer in some ways. So because you had a lot of adventures during the time, a lot of freelancers and so on and so forth, that that helped feed into what would become the RPG book. So on starting this book, I pronounce it as Rowan. That's fine. So the biggest thing that came down to actually making the game and allowing it to work. Oh, hi, Monkey. Monkey the Chimp is in.
Yep. And you are correct, Andy Carrot. There is some mad science stuff in Roan.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with Frankenstein technology or Tesla more than anything. But so keeping on the level, I have a degree in game development, and the nice thing is with Rowan, I'm actually I spent $100,000 on this degree to learn it, to earn it. I'm actually using it, so that it's nice to be able to use it for what you actually studied. And one of the biggest things is, the hardest part is actually starting, because if you want to make a game, you want to write your own RPG book or make a video game, this would be something I'll talk about when it comes to our discussions at the panel. You need to stick to your guns. You need to understand that if you're going to work on something like this, it doesn't even have to be ponies. It can be, you can make your own D&D style world. You can make your own, you can turn EVE Online into a new sci-fi space fantasy. Well, it's not so much that there are programs for creating RPGs, which this is, again, what I'll be discussing, is that when it came to Rowan, the question was, do I want to work off of someone else's works, which I got the permission of Jeff Combos, who has ownership of the Ubiquity system. Most people know it as HEX, which is Hollowed Earth Expedition. after chatting with him, explaining my ideas and getting permission, which also included doing a contract, which means he does get his cut, I was able to start working on Rowan. And problem with working towards it is essentially I had to start scheduling myself. I couldn't go home and watch Netflix. I couldn't watch the latest anime, play the newest video game that I got from Steam or on the PS4, because if I did that, that distracts me from being able to do stuff such as write the Rowan book or being able to talk with artists. Because in all honesty, one of the things that helped out was I had been helping a friend of mine, Urban Meadows, for those of you who know the Buck Legacy card game. How things kind of really started was that we were discussing turning Buck Legacy into a fantasy pony adventure. And I believe at this time, Pony Finder didn't drop yet when he had the Buck Legacy game. But what happened was Buck Legacy 2 came out, and he had so much work, he had so much Kickstarter work. I'd done about 80 pages of rules work, a lot of the balancing, and a lot of the background story. And what happened with that was, you know, his dedication to his work was a little too much to handle. So I asked him, hey, I've done all this work. Is it all right if I go ahead and turn it into something that I've been kind of hankering for, something pulp, something 1920s, 1940s. And because I did the brunt of the work and we didn't actually sign any papers, it was a courtesy thing. And the reason why you want to do that, if you work with someone but you feel that things have to break off, ask, you know, politely ask or let them know, hey, I'm still going to take the idea and go with it. You don't want to burn your bridges. It's one of the most important things. One of the people who we were looking at for that project when it came to the art was, of all things, this is my introduction to Baron. I knew him first actually as Baron Kuhn, not Baron Engel, because I saw more of your his for Affinity FA works, and then I was introduced to your Deviant art. But I sat down and I said, well, how much would it cost for doing a cover as well as additional art? He dropped the big numbers, and one of the things I had to do is I did my homework. I sat down, I talked with a number of my friends, one of them who is in the book writing business for a lot of games, such as the Hero System, Michael Serbrook. Chatted with him, and he goes, yeah, that's generally the ballpark. And I went, you know what, Baron's not yanking my chain. He's being extremely fair. And, you know, from there, I started bouncing ideas like, well, here's what I'm going with. I'm looking at art to fit the fact that these ponies can utilize firearms, but I want them to be able to utilize it with either mechanical hands or be able to utilize it with hooves. Thanks to Baron, he introduced me to the no-hand shooter and a couple of, so he introduced me to a guy who talks about the history of firearms, as well as the no-hand shooter, who was a young fellow who was born with no hands. And he's a competition. He could outdraw me. I believe he could outdraw me.
Oh, yeah, he could outdraw
Stubbs,
me.
yeah.
Yeah, Stubbs is amazing.
Rather, yeah.
Oh, yes.
And of course, it was amusing because I was brought in like, we need a cover and we need some military technology. And then we started talking about some other things, and he says, oh, yeah, well, how about this idea? He goes, oh, yeah, could you work on that? Yeah, sure, no problem.
I know the biggest thing that helped, because you even said that when it comes to an artist, and you have to understand this. You know, the artists are a freelancer. If a freelancer begins failing or not doing too well, he does become what everybody jokes about, the starving artist. Artists got to pay bills.
Or that guy.
Or that guy.
The guy who, he didn't get his job done. He didn't do that. That guy didn't finish his work. That guy held up production. That guy, you don't want to be that guy or that gal.
Yeah. You know, so as an artist, you don't want to introduce conflict, but as the person who hires them, such as taking myself, when I was pulling up, I had over 20 artists help out. I had Baron Engel, I had Glacier Clear, I had EOS Sprites, I had Stedonick, and I'm gonna have to cheat here.
Show them the book cover. Show them. Yeah, but
taking the idea is that I actually, I sat down, and after I was given the price, the big thing is that I paid the full amount to Baron, which showed that I was serious about it, and it was not tiny numbers. Because this is you drew it up, you did the watercoloring, right?
This is color pencil.
The color pencil, but I remember you did the smudging for being able to do the cloud works and
that was
everything.
color pencil with solvent.
All right.
That's all color pencil and marker pen. Sir.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a little bit of technical pen thrown in there. But yeah, I did the quotes. Now he on that one there he did. I did half up front, then half on delivery. Then we did the full. There's a new cover coming soon from me for the next book, The World at War.
To make things easier.
Art for that tonight?
Oh yes, we're working on some Roan stuff. A little bit we'll be getting to actual art.
So here we had a lot of the contributors, which you can also go to rowanrpg.com.
There's 24 people are involved in this. Sometimes everyone goes, oh yeah, Baron did this and Baron did... No, Baron didn't do all this. There was a lot of really, really great people who were involved in this. We brought together a really good team. We're hoping to bring some of those folks back together again for the project.
Mm-hmm.
But
the ones who've proven themselves to be able to get their work in on time.
Now, but here's something. You've got some, as far as art goes, you've got some stuff that I don't think a lot of folks out there have seen that's going to be kind of showing on the West Coast for the first time, and one of them is completely new.
We could make you guys wait until the second hour to see that.
Yeah,
or
we
the third.
Or we could.
Or the fourth.
Yeah, we could, but...
Oh, certainly we can stretch those out.
Yeah.
Well, also don't have the sketches that I collected yet. But so two of the things is that as I was saying, one was being able to pay your artists, because that proves it's two things. When you put it down, that's true, Prawo. But Ravenpuff, there are a lot of artists who have split art. They've got their safe for work and they got their not safe for work. But you can go to Ravenpuffy at DeviantArt, and she generally has all the cleaner art there.
Yeah.
So one of the things about putting down a lot of money is that, especially you do what I do, where you post it on your door and you see it every single day, it reminds you that you put a lot of money into this, which also means that you've put a lot of heart, you've put a lot of thought into your work. You need to remind yourself that you want to see it to the end. I had the help of great friends, Nate Dogg 5K, Baron Engel, a lot of friends who are like, hey, you're doing good, keep it going. And also knowing when to just take a break. Give yourself breathing room. Play a video game for maybe a couple days.
Go see a movie.
Go see a movie. You don't want to burn yourself out. And sometimes when you come back, you look at what you've written, you might suddenly spot a lot of errors, or you might have come up with an idea of, you know what, I think I know something that I can do better than what I had there, and I will anchor it and I'm done, which is also the other bit. Know when you're done. It's the same thing for those of you who do art. When you start getting into an art sync of, no, I can make that better, I can make that better, I can make that better, and then a couple weeks later you're going, well, I can't stop.
You're just fiddling.
Yeah.
And wasting time.
Yeah. Now, I will know we do have quite a few people who are saying they're going to have to bow out early tonight.
All right. Well,
Pencil time.
All right.
Yeah. We'll get on that. So yeah, why don't we? Well, let's do a quick show
You got
through.
4 hours, Robert.
Yeah. We got
Spread it out.
quick through show through on this. So why don't we show them like the comic, and then we'll show the prints. We'll take some other stuff in the next hour. We'll show the big stuff. Some people are gonna go, ooh, the stuff you're gonna be able to buy.
Oh yes. So one of the big things going into
Yeah,
our Rowan booth.
generic guy took a break while working on Roan the hard way. I do not recommend you take that kind of break.
Bodily harm is not a good way of taking a break.
Nope.
So, going in with Rowan, for those of you who know Ravenpuff, Ravenpuff and I, as well as another artist, Joey Wagner, unfortunately his art's not in this. This is strictly dedicated to Ravenpuff's work, is Lazy Camp, or The Lazy Company. A lot of this is inspired by an artist back during World War II who was in the service named Bill Mauldin, or Bill Mauldin. And the thing about him is he had the characters who are famously known as Willie and Joe. So this one, we started with the characters of Clyde and Dale. Ha 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 ha, clever joke there. And so this is about 44 pages of just artwork that has gone into, little single panel arts.
If you follow him on Twitter or follow me on Twitter, you've probably seen a lot of these as retweets and everything. And it's done kind of in the original spirit of Willie and Joe, black and white. one panel, simple, gag cartoons, but a lot of them are very, very hilarious.
And, I also got a couple of the holiday pieces that came in. We came across with Christmas. We also had Dale, which we had an animated Dale giving a nice wink to all the others out there. And then we also got a little bit of a profile talking about some of the characters, starting with Clyde and Dale. We have Cause and Effect, who might be a couple. Maybe not. We have Downrange or D-Range, who's the Kelpie engineer here, and we have the medic, who's in a automaton, which are machines with a soul in the world of Rowan, which is Engel, and also best wingman for Dale. And then of course we have a little cute art here of myself, but we've got Lieutenant Iron Lotus and Annette, as well as we've got Newbie, the Sarge, and everybody else going with us with I believe Pearl.
Yeah, Lego. We'll get to our hourly duty.
All things in time.
All things in time.
Yeah.
I want to show some the big stuff, and I'm going to get the drawing.
Now for
what
the
you
hot
really came
stuff.
for,
Yeah.
Turn the kids away. This is so next to the lazy camp being available at our table, we also have from my friend Duck Draws. Some of you may have recognized these. I have plenty of these, and we are going to be offering these at the Rowan booth. So a lot of very nice booth babes from. Here we are. So we've trying to watch the light there. So we got ourselves a little bonbon. Oh, sorry. Stabbing my artist here. Got Lyra. And we've got Octavia. And again, these three pieces were done by my friend Duck Draws. Duck Draws also holds a stream. Now, I will give a warning though. When it comes to streams, they are not safe for work. But he's a pretty fun guy. He gives a lot of good stories about art as well as a lot of the gaming that he does. And of course, for those who might remember, who might recognize the art style, this is Aphex Angel. And Aphex, good friend that I've chatted with, was able to do a piece for me of Vinyl Scratch here in a newsy getup. And so you will see that these will be all available at BabsCon. Now, depending on how things go, I will see about trying to offer these, especially if we still have plenty left. I will offer them online. What I will ask though is that generally I want to try to keep it in the States. If you're outside the States, we can talk, we can see what the expenses that will have to go in for shipping it out of the country. Because to a sense, I do want to make sure people are able to get their pony art.
Right.
They got to get their tubby wubby pony waifu.
That's right. Well, now it's time for me to make some new art for folks. So why don't we do I need to do my glasses. For folks who are new, you have the right to.
You have the right to nag Baron if he does not put on his drawing glasses. His drawing glasses have black frames. His street glasses have silver frames.
Right, and
You get to go all grandmother on
right.
him.
I've taken the cap off because I don't want to have possibly the bill protruding into the camera frame.
You would whack the camera. Yeah.
Exactly. So we are going to make sure that goes away. All right. Okay. So one of the things that Clear Skies has got me doing for the next book is, I did a lot of the initial design work for the Radivarians, but for this next book, the Radivarians are going to be a much bigger part of the world. And so I'm going to be doing all the Radivarian designs, and this man here is giving me permission to give you guys nightmares. So we're going to be working on some of that tonight.
Oh, you could give H.R. Giger nightmares.
Oh yes. If everything works out, possibility of working on a few of the Croatians.
Mm-hmm. And while we're at, just so you know, tonight we have here in the studio, keeping us company, is Derpy and Dinky here. They say hi. So they're going to be here, kind of keeping an eyeball on me, make sure I change my glasses and everything like that.
Funny quick story before I do answer a question for Cold Silver here. With Derpy and Dinky, I saw someone had plushes at the last day of BronyCon last year. They had, and the little tiny Dinky was supposed to be Derpy actually, but they forgot to put the wings. So they were gonna take it and put the wings on it. I'm like, please don't. Put a horn on her and I will buy them both. And she kind of looked at me going, well, what for? I'm like, it's dinky. And, you know, the realization's like, you're right. And I'm like, oh, I hope you start doing this. Because if you do the mother-daughter, at least the fandom mother-daughter pair that we all love. Oh, sorry about that. Hopefully I didn't crack a couple of eardrums there. But we all think that Derpy is truly the best mother as well as the best, you know, one of the best background ponies.
Yeah.
But so Cold Silver had asked a question about how much things would. Okay, so before I get to other people's question, Cold Silver, you asked about how much the cost will be. Posters I'm going to look at running at $15. The Lazy Camp is going to be $10, and for the RPG book itself, the RPG book is going to be $49.95. And of course, you know, for those at BabsCon, there is going to be there is tax because I have to do my due diligence. And
there's also the Cloison pins, or
yes. For those who didn't see it before, I will show off the pin on the hat. We have the Rowan pin here. It's a metal pin.
Yeah, got a loose one right down on the mixer right next to you.
Oh, awesome! Oh yeah, awesome.
Don't go nowhere but there.
But the pins will go for $8, and the thing I've been doing is that for every pin bought, I pull $1 aside and I submit it to the Night Stalker Foundation, because the 160th Night Stalkers, also known as the Dark Horse Company, was my dad's group when he was part of the Special Operations Air Regiment. So it's kind of my thanks, because when it came to college, they were a big help with my scholarship. And not just that, because my dad was part of them, and they were very helpful for my dad. This is kind of my thanks, was being able to submit a donation to them, which last year we were able to put $100 towards the Night Stalker Foundation. So more than anything, thank you all for having come by and pick up the pins. It really does mean a lot to us and to a lot of the troops.
And we have Mighty Muffin.
Mighty
Muffin.
And I did
formerly known as Toxic Mario.
We are very, very hopeful that your interview will bear. He interviewed for a weather job today.
Nice.
May bear fruit. I think it's cool that he's going to get to join some storm chasers.
Yeah.
Now, I did see early on, someone did ask the question if there'd be Ratvarian plushies. Now, the question is, the tough part with that is, I don't know how we could do that without giving nightmares for people.
No.
Or what to land,
no.
or what type of Ratvarian to actually be able to make.
No, Ratvarian dockies.
No. we don't need the lust rats. Those are terrible things. And Lego. Okay, Lego. Yeah. My dad was U.S. Army. And there's Orca with hooah!
Say we're. Was your dad Army or Air Force?
My dad was kind of interesting. My dad was Navy originally. Then when the Air Force got going, he said he basically mustered out of the Navy, finished his tour of duty, and went into the Air Force. And then he got sent to Korea, and in Korea, apparently once the Marines went ashore, the Navy didn't feel they were obligated to have to provide them weather. So my dad, who was in the Air Force, was like one of 2 Air Force personnel assigned to a Marine unit to provide them weather, which got really, really, really interesting at times.
Nizumi, honestly, while the Ratvarians, I did know of the Skavens. My idea of inspiration for the Ratvarians was the creepy factors that happened during the Secret of Nim. And when I explained it to Baron, you can actually credit Baron for a lot of help of the variations of the Ratvarians, because the way I see them was kind of like, what if you took a monster that was molded by this, the various vices, the different sins that we know of, and you get mixtures of these sins.
Yeah, and I treat the Ratvarians as being a very plastic.
Good night, Aunt Carrot.
Good night. As being a very plastic type form, and that they will go through quite a few changes in designs actually. Because they're creatures that were created by feeding on the corpses of bodies of chaotic battle magic, and so they will twist and mutate themselves quite often into whatever.
Yep, they don't follow rules except the unhappy ones.
Generic Avatar asks, Clear, last time you were on, you mentioned the possibility of adding more player species. Did that happen? Unfortunately, not, and this comes into having to work with artists. This also came into a little bit of home stuff that I had to deal with helping the family due to my family has their own LLC. So my dad being retired military, trying to run and survive off of a retirement check while you're waiting for the DOD to come back to you with hopefully big buku bucks. For the longest time, me and my sister have been doing our best to support and being able to do what we can to help them out, as well as make sure that we don't go crazy either. So unfortunately, I've not had the additional races out there yet, but we do have some incoming.
There'll be some new ones for the expansion, won't there?
Well, the expansion will have some, but also with the adventure packs, which I'll definitely start hitting on a little bit later on. But there is the Blue Ains, but the artist that we had kind of drifted off, especially after a lot of the work that she did. She was one of the ones that was having a lot of the drama in the background, and then unfortunately, this is one of those unfortunate things, is that you want to be there to try to help people, but when certain drama, you can do only so much to try to offer support. And the question then comes down to you're only getting one side of the story, and you have to try your best to not.
We keep ourselves out of it.
Exactly.
Yes.
And and it's made tougher when it's someone you're working with. It's like, look, I'm sorry for the drama that you have, but I really do need the pieces, that you've offered for these characters. And what makes it tough is it's a character that they discussed with me, they came up with, and they're an adorable characters known as Blue Ains. So where you have the Kelpies, who are the river horses, the river ponies, the Blue Ains are essentially schools of ocean ponies. And the thing for them is I felt that there was some Mass Effect calls there, where their whole story is that the schools of Blue Ains would send off their teenagers, and their trials were to go learn something big and impressive from the new world and bring it back to the Blue Ains to share with them.
Let's see here. What's this? So Clear, Baron, let me ask you guys a question. What is the strangest concept you guys came
up with? Came up with for the game.
Ooh, well, I don't know. Some of the Radivarian stuff is pretty.
And they haven't been tossed out, to be honest.
No.
They're definitely on the hold. Really, we haven't actually tossed out any weird ideas. I guess I would say, as a courtesy to one of my writers, to Fox, one of the changes I did is that originally the Croatians, which now have a more Asian orientation in their history and such, where originally was Croatia. And the thing he brought up, he goes, well, that might, some of your
There's a country called that.
There is a country called that, and for people who had family who were stuck in that history and everything that went down, it might be a little bit, you might want to pull back on that. So. Yeah. Coming down to it, I agree. I finally relented. I agreed, and I realized that he's right. I do need to take what he said and almost Tengu-like. I do like that, and that was what ended up helping out with the transfer of Croatia to Croatians, is that there's a lot more history in the folklore when it comes to the Crows, especially taking the Tengus. Now that is Frank Oldred who is saying that. Our Hobbit is Clear. Will you be coming to a Comic-Con like Fan Expo Dallas? If I got invited, it would be something that I would not say no to, but unfortunately, the trouble that I have currently is that I do got my my 9-to-5 job essentially, and I only have so much paid time off that I can put down. And the books while they do move and they do move all right, they're not the big numbers that I can live off of my company Clear Skies LLC.
Not at the moment.
Not at the moment. One day, one day that will allow me to
and-
expand into all the video game markets and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
that's
that
something
is not this day.
That's something that David Silver is actually able to do now. He's been so successful at Pony Finder. Apparently, that's his day job now.
Yep.
Yeah, so-
But he's worked for several years to build to that point. Clear Skies is
An
still getting
overnight
there.
success only took 10 years.
Yeah, and the other thing too is that every time we go, like, say, well, are you gonna be at this con? Are you going to this convention? Every time we go to a convention, it's not just the time of the convention. It's usually a couple of weeks before and after where you're kind of getting ramped up for it and then ramping down, and that's time you're not really in the studio doing your full production work.
Which is why I talked about, one of the things that I had to be careful about was burning out. So most of my work, especially where I work now with DC, when it comes to writing the next Rowan expansion, Rowan World at War, is that, so I wake up at 4 in the morning and I have to take the train. I go into DC, I do my work, I'm done at 3:30, I take the train, I'm effectively home by 5 o'clock. So that's 12 hours of my day gone. And I do SharePoint development. Originally I did simulations and I did animation, and specifically I assisted with After Effects animation and green screening. And then I went to SharePoint. And the problem is, when you're staring at SharePoint, JavaScript, and HTML code all day, especially because every time they do an update, they break something, and you have to figure out what broke. You get home, and you're like, all right, time to write another chapter of Rowan, and part of your brain just goes, you've been staring at text all day. Are you sure you want to sit down and do this again?
Okay, Orca, just so you know, that's because Smudge is in the process of posting them up. She's putting up about 2 or 3 a week. If you'll notice, like last week, like 3 new episodes went up. She's getting them all posted up. And we're getting the episodes up because if she keeps posting it the way she is, she's going to probably catch up and be up to date by, the middle of next month with it. Someone did actually have a question. Just, do you have a plan on how many expansions you're thinking about doing?
All of them.
As long as I have a fan base that wants them, as many as I can put out. And the most important thing that I would like the assistance of is for those who've done writing, who've ran adventures, who feel confident that they could write an adventure. I'm actually looking for people who can help write adventures for me. The things that will happen is that if you can give me a good base concept that I feel agreeable to, you will get yourself, a base PDF, and you'll get a adventure pack that will show kind of a good example, one of the Hex adventure packs. This will help give an example of how adventures are written for the Ubiquity system. You write, about around a 6,000 word, pretty much a one-shot, or if I agree to it, you can write a larger adventure. And so, so with that, again, I'll be, I'll talk more about this, but if anything, I figure, it's time to start giving credit where credit's due for folks that, help and sponsor and everything, right, Baron?
Mm-hmm.
Which brings us to our hourly duty. And we would like to take a moment then to thank University Art for keeping Barron supplied with art supplies. University Art is a high-end art supplies and framing shop with outlets in San Jose and Redwood City and Sacramento, California. They have a knowledgeable sales staff who are all artists themselves. They're not on commission, so they can give you the right materials, not the expensive ones. They have seminars, they have workshops, they have demonstrations, they have craft fairs. They've got a little bit of everything. They also occasionally loan us some of their employees to come on the show and be guests. I mean, you guys remember Jeff Braunschreiber, the fellow that did the page from the Book of the Dead in proper ancient Egyptian materials and techniques. You remember Jaya King. Oh, who can forget Jaya? Who's, by the way, like Barron, has gone independent now and is living her life as an artist. Who did the encaustic, blowtorches and hot wax art. Which, by the way, there'll be a piece of hers in the charity auction for BabsCon.
Yep.
So again, they also put up with Barron for 20 years. Oh my God, the patience of saints. So we want to say thank you to them. They may or may not be lurking on this show because we usually are on Saturdays, but in case they are, Hi, Jeff. Hi, Mike.
Well,
love you.
Well, actually, I stopped by University Art and talked to Mike today, so he knows about the stream
Oh,
tonight.
yeah.
So he might be actually lurking.
Well, I will say this: someone who's generally used to Michael's or any of the art hobby stores out on
what
the
a difference.
well out on the East Coast, coming and seeing a proper art store, I would say I'm truly jealous as someone who went through graphic design. And wish I had an art store like that to supply me proper art tools as opposed to generic brand school supplied art tools.
Or whatever the highest margin is they have in the moment that
Right.
the manager said, go push this as hard as you can.
Yep.
Yeah, that was the here are these these rose pins. Well, that's like $150. I'm never going to use them after this. It doesn't matter. You want to go to class? You will buy these things. Okay. Here's $150.
Yeah, we hope to have Jeff back again this year. Of course, Jai was on earlier this year. And I'm talking back and forth with some other possible guests, probably get some new people I think you find very interesting. Hoping to have some exciting folks on 2018.
Excellent. Okay, we're actually just about to come up on our first break. For folks here who are new, actually generic, I put down a tarp underneath the table there to make sure that didn't happen.
Yep.
But we're coming up on our first break. Folks that are new, we take a break once an hour on the half hour, so at 6:30, 7:30, and 8:30 Pacific time. We'll be taking 5-minute breaks so everybody can get up, stretch, very important for artists, be biological, very important for everybody, and then come back and tackle another hour's worth of stuff.
I may work on this one a little bit more because I got kind of a late start on it. Finish this guy up some, but
Have a good night, Sylvan. Thank you for stopping by.
yep. Yeah, Sylvan's got a shift that starts at 5 a.m. in the morning. It's like,
I know how that feels.
Yep, he's got to be there when the trucks arrive and everything like that to do the unloading. Okay.
But Prowl, I suspect you will survive. Okay, 6:29. I'm going to go back to main camera.
Main camera, all right.
Boom.
Boom. It's my ugly mug. So we're gonna take 5. You should take 5. Get up, move around, stretch, and then when we come back, we will be doing more. Yeah, Skavens are so cute compared to the Ravarians. Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Because
Skavens
they
don't.
only bite you once.
Yeah.
Excluding the plagued Skavens, they're not dealing with more parts coming out of them than they can count.
Yeah.
Outstanding. All right, folks, we will see you guys in 5.
5. And we are back, and I want to say hello to Nate Dogg in the chat. Folks, if you haven't caught Nate Dogg's stream, he streams like about every other Friday.
Every other Friday, which is generally the same day that is my RDO. So
Right.
I get to join him and kind of do a co-op multi-stream with him on Picardo.
Yeah, because you're starting to do your own stream stuff too. You're doing.
I'm doing a little bit of game streaming and talking. Once I start getting enough people, we'll be able to talk about my knowledge of video game development, things I learned when I was doing work out of Activision, as well as some of my freelance work.
Yeah.
Hey, where'd this come from?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Did that like just appear?
It's the blessing of Tom Selleck.
Ah, I see. I
Magnum
see.
PO.
Yeah. Will it be a muffins or a time turner? Maybe. Okay. Well, I can tell you right now, Lego, that we have sound. Our mic is live. We've got green mic.
Yep.
So.
Oh,
It's you.
am
Yeah.
I coming through? Hopefully, I'm coming through.
Yeah. We've unmuted the mics. I don't know what to tell you. Is anyone else having a sound problem?
Lego's special.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, speaking of which, this week, Nate Dogg will be holding his stream. So, if you all get a chance, Nate Dogg is one of the guys. He's out in Maryland. He's one of the guys I sat down with when it came to talking about the development of Rowan, and he's also done some of the art.
Actually, pull the little thing there because Nate designed the logo for Roan. This is Nate's work. This incredible piece of Art Deco style graphic design.
Could have come straight out of BioShock.
That is so Nate. So Nate does good stuff.
Indeed.
And he's doing a lot more. He for the Falconagras, for the Griffins, he has made Volodymyr Putin.
Yes, and he's also got his own Patreon too.
Yes, he does. He started not too long ago. One of the things I'll say is Nate has some amazing artwork that I really do, again, I do envy a lot of the works that you guys put out, and I do everything I can to be able to support them.
Right. Generic, one of the things to keep in mind is that Roan does not take place in Equestria. This has got no way, shape, or form attached to Equestria. You got no butt marks, no cutie marks.
Now, on top of that, I mean, we do have the Mirages, which is our variation of what it would be the Changelings. One of my friends, Nate Dogg's roommate, who goes by Minion. Minion is my other go-to when it comes to game development, especially with tabletop RPGs. Now, the thing is that if there are enough players, enough people voice that they really do want yaks and buffaloes, llamas, and so on and so forth. Now, there will be more animal creatures that I would like to pull into the world, aside from foxes, aside from the blue ains. Of course, the blue ains and foxes could just be seen as variations of ponies and canines. Right. But I do want to see others. I mean, it would be cool to bring in things like the buffalo and stuff.
Yeah,
but
no, there was one thing that's kind of interesting. As I mentioned, no tramp stamp. I remember early on when you were putting together Roan, one of the things you did was you actually contacted Hasbro.
So I had the benefit of being able to have a friend of mine give me connections to be able to talk with just one of the base level, hey, I'm that guy who has to make sure that we follow the rules so that Hasbro doesn't lose ownership. To tie into it, I had to ask them, like, hi, my name is Robert. I am doing a pony RPG game. What can I do to make sure I'm not treading on your toes? So they can't sit there and say you can't do ponies, unicorns, and Pegasus. You can't do certain things because, well, those are all fantasy from public domain from ancient times. So they don't really have ownership of that. What they do actually own is they do own characters specifically. Well, now technically you could have a Twilight Sparkle who just happens to be a completely different color palette and completely different species, but you cannot recreate Twilight Sparkle in personality, the cutie mark, the exact colors, the trade.
In fact, the interesting thing is that if I remember correctly, you could have had marks on the flanks. The only thing that they actually trademarked was the term cutie mark. But if I remember correctly, you decided you were not going to have them because you want that extra little step of, no, this is not Equestria, this is its own thing.
And the other side of it too is that technically the game offers the ability of, instead of character classes such as the thief with their stuff, the barbarian with their things, you have an archetype. You get to choose your archetype. You then have a motivation. Now, technically, you could almost say your motivation is your destiny mark, your cutie mark, things like that. But motivations allowed you to have more freedom because you could actually have the option of changing your motivations as you're going through if the GM allowed you.
And this is an important thing he's brought about your archetype, because this means you don't have ranger, you don't have thief, you don't have rogue, you don't have paladin, you don't have cleric, you don't have that.
It's a skill-based system.
You get to basically create what your character is. Now, one of the things that he did as a very generous thing for all the work that I did on the Roan RPG is, yes, folks, that she's kind of washing out there. Yes, Patina is a character she's an NPC in Roan. So I had to create, kind of what was Patina. And I chose that her archetype was she's the mysterious madam. In all those movies and comics and novels you've read, about the character, the female character, she hires the detective, she runs that nightclub. No one knows much about her.
She has the little black book.
That mysterious dame with her legs up to her neck.
Yeah, exactly.
The Mickey Spillane girl.
That's that's Patina. What was her motivation? Hedonism. And I was actually very happy because I wrote her basically her description.
Cold Silver's got it.
Yep.
Owner of the heavenly body.
Yeah. And one of the things
I think the commercial's in the front of the
there
page.
There is too. And one of the things I was able to put in was a very nice thing, a little note to players. And this is for anyone who may be playing the Roan game and likes Patina. Thinks, oh, I'd love that Patina in the group. Okay, keep this in mind. Note: Patina is a very headstrong, opinionated, intelligent mare who likes to take charge, be in charge of things. One should avoid including her as an active member in any party. If one does decide to include Patina in the party, and she's not trying to take charge of the party, especially if she's away from her base of operation, you're not playing the character correctly. She will want to try and run your show.
Yeah, and and again, you are the player characters, not her.
But if you're
She
not,
doesn't know that.
she doesn't know that, and sometimes she will, step on toes. And let me see, where is that? Yeah.
Should be towards the front because it was with the openers and the
Right,
newspaper.
exactly.
So the very front of the book.
Let's see here.
Because it's only like within the first like 3 or 4 pages, probably.
Yes.
Here we are.
Yes, there we are. Yep, there's even an ad for the Heavenly Body. At some point, there's going to be a module, hopefully. We're hoping.
Well, which was the unfortunate bit of when the Call of Duty pulls you back because you are considered specialists. People like me lose a rider.
Yep. So, at any rate, enough talking about this. I'm going to get back to drawing because people, want to see more art being made. They love hearing talk about art. But,
and by the way, I will at least say this, Nate. If you could, please go ahead and drop a link to your DA. Allow people to see some of the works that you've got.
Yep. And let me switch my glasses. Ha ha ha.
Yeah, you put pencil to paper. I was going to wait to see how long we got, if they got you before you got it. Yeah.
Oh, Lego, it's more than just...
It's not, a brothel is not professional.
No,
this is
It's also
professional.
not complete.
Yeah. The Heavenly Body is a casino. The Heavenly Body is a hotel resort. The Heavenly Body is...
An engine for separating you from your money.
Yes, in all kinds of ways. The Heavenly Body is a way in which you can satisfy your various basic, sometimes carnal needs, all for a price.
Technically, there's the joke of the Mile High Club because technically it's just outside of jurisdiction.
Yeah, well, it's high enough to qualify.
The 12-mile border around.
Yeah, exactly. And it basically slowly travels around Rhone. It looks really Art Deco. It looks like it goes 1,000 miles per hour, and it's not that fast, actually. It doesn't have to be. That's not its point. And they travel circuit around the country, and they have seasons, and then they have an off-season when they go and basically take the ship in for repairs and refit and refurbishing, and then they go back out again. And it's a very fascinating, fun place.
Does Rome Patina drink Twilight Sparkle brand champagne?
She would if they had it. But she's a very interesting because she's got, possibly connections. No one's quite certain, but it appears that she's got involvement with local politicians. She's got involvement with possible local business. She's got involvement with other types of businesses and business people.
Well, she's not mafia, Lego, but she does business with mafia.
Yeah.
She's riding that ragged edge.
She basically plays both sides against each other to keep as much control as she has while having as much influence as possible.
The joke is that she's always... People notice that she kind of happens to have a black book, and we just don't know what's in that book, but you see a mayor of that stature.
Writing
and you might be a mafia crime lord, you might be a gang boss.
Assistant city council member.
Mayor, could be a president of a major corporation, and you just happen to wonder, like, I just did something, and she's writing her book.
Yeah, what is she writing down? Everyone wants to know about that book.
Yeah, I think I will make sure that when she applies for a docking permit, she gets it. just to make things go over more easily, particularly because my election's coming up in 3 weeks.
Oh, and by the way, so my friend Nate Dogg has gone ahead and dropped his DA as well as his Twitter.
Good.
So definitely, please check him out.
Oh, and Nate dropped her Patreon.
Oh yeah, can't forget that. Starving artists need that extra little dosh.
I'm just going to do a little bit of this, I'll get a couple things blocked in. I'll finish up shading this later. I'll go back on to the next thing I'm thinking about working on for tonight. But I just want to kind of get this. Yeah, the Radivarians basically, almost any shape or form that makes you go, well, congratulations, they can be it. I am having so much fun working
Uh-huh.
up the design for the king.
See, so Baron, clear. What would you consider was the hardest concept to come up with in the game? And then, what would you say was the toughest concept design to come up with or write about? Now I'll at least say this for Caredwin. he actually has his own game that he has been working on.
Yep.
And
the
it's
Isotopes of Harmony,
exactly. And
radioactive ponies.
for those who love their, currently I know that I've had Fallout players, but for those who really want something that's dedicated towards a Fallout world, everything he's told me about his world and the way he's designed his rule set and his balances in things like Pegasi as well as magic and stuff, when it starts popping up, I'm going to be pushing it out there for you folks to see, and definitely please give it a look.
We'll make him write an adventure for it, and then I'll write an adventure for say for Rowan.
Sounds like a deal.
Actually, I've got an idea that I've talked to you a little bit about for Rowan. Ponies in the South Seas.
Now, concepts. Concept and design, I would say the hardest thing for me really was sitting down, and it's almost hard to just pick out one thing. The book as a whole, as my concept, was probably the hardest thing to do. As something I design, I would say it's the work I'm doing on the map, which at one point, for those who keep an eye on the Rowan RPG website, I'm actually going to be dropping a call out there to see about folks giving me names of not only major states, but cities. I've got a couple that are in there that are primary locations that needed to be named, but there are definitely plenty out there that haven't been named, and I might even, if I like it, I might even reach out and say, hey, well, what's your inspiration behind it? Are we looking at, Connecticut, Wyoming, New Jersey, New York, all these different locations, because one thing folks will notice is Rowan is very much got a very United States feel to it, but it's more of the things that it's more in the direction of hopefully like where we would hope that we are more of, go do that which you want to do. It's the dream.
Yeah. For me, the toughest thing design-wise I've had to tackle so far for the game was the manipulators. I had to, I spent a lot of time talking with Robert here about, okay, how are we doing this? How am I going to do this? What's the mechanism? How can the ponies do this? Because I wanted to come up with 3 very obviously different and distinctive looking systems that fulfilled different applications, because we had light, medium, and heavy. The trick was when I got to the heavy, and I started realizing, well, for the heavy to really work, it needs to support this part of the body too. And I said, well, if I'm supporting that part of the body, what I came to the realization was the heavy actually ends up being more of an exoskeleton suit than simply a strap-on thing on the legs, of which I do love Wagoneer's cartoon about hands.
Oh yeah, Joey Wagner is one of the other artists who's doing a lot more of the full panel comics. Quick couple of questions people have dropped. We've got one from Mighty Muffins towards Care, which says Care. Then that question goes to you with your game for difficulties and concepts.
Well, I come from a background of 25 years of quality assurance in mostly network security and network performance. So as a QA guy, I think, how can I break it? Game balance, exploits, and just stuff that just plain doesn't work. So coming up with the mechanics that are going to scale well, that will be simple. One way of resolving everything. That sort of thing. Internal consistency. So it would be the mechanical, aspects of the rules. That's from a design perspective, and I think I've got a pretty good system worked out. As far as conceptual, again, I want to make sure that what I'm doing is not just, it can be used for Fallout Equestria, but it's not Fallout Equestria. It's more Road Warrior than it is Fallout. And again, I do not want to step on K-Cat's toes. And there's already people that have put out like a D20 system version of Fallout Equestria. I'm doing something a little bit different. So lore has been, you have to get it right. And again, finding reasons for, how say for some of the game mechanics that I've had to do to keep flying characters from completely overrunning everything, and I have this big challenge. I fly over it. Thank you. Why the world is what it is. What happened? No, it wasn't a global war. And
Why can't you still eat 200-year-old cans of Spam?
exactly.
Well, spam's
Well,
forever.
Well, you should just go find yourself a nice herd of cattle, and they'll take good care of you.
Oh yeah, we've been there, done that.
Yeah, I've already actually had. I think we did about a dozen sessions of sort of the
Version
alpha,
1.0.
Well, the alpha version. I'm into late beta right now, and as soon as I have time, I'm going to run a beta game. I'm also trying to make sure that it will be as friendly as possible to online play. By that I mean, that it will be relatively simple to adapt to, say, Roll20, or
Which gets particularly interesting when you have.
Right.
By the way, McClaw's saying he can't hear you. Are you good on your mic?
blah 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 blah. Yeah, it should be good.
Okay.
Okay, there we go. I was probably just aiming it away from my face, which is probably a good thing because that way the microphone doesn't melt.
Yeah, but these are very directional mics we got.
Yeah, which is good and bad. Reject sounds from the side, but unless it's pointing right at your face,
Yep.
it rejects your sounds. Yeah. So again, lore, online friendliness as far as rule systems is concerned, making it very easy to have one of the things I'm going to be including is a website where you can generate and store characters, sort of like what D&D Beyond does and OrcPub do for Dungeons and Dragons. And again, because it's a somewhat simplified system, it'll be a lot friendlier to that. Also, the other thing is almost all of these games very quickly become gun games, where unless you're a ranged attacking character, or a sniper, you just have a terrible time. And I want to make sure that the melee characters and the up close and personal characters and all those type, that there's a wide variety of player types that are all useful and are all required. And again, I've got some mechanical things in the game to take care of that.
Yep. Just so you know, Big Diesel's got a question. Clear Skies, what is the geographical charters of the Canadians?
Charters.
Characteristics? That's kind of a term. Could you kind of expand on that, please, Diesel?
Are we talking about like what is the relationship when it comes to Canidia and
Roan?
Falconograd, and the rest of them? And on a quick thing, Art Hobbit, you're correct. There's definitely a lot of Casablanca when it comes to Rowan. Rowan is able to fit Casablanca, Dick Tracy, Where Eagles Dare, Kelly's Hero, from Clint Eastwood to Humphrey Bogart.
Okay, lay of the land is what Diesel was asking.
So talking about like in terms of how
borders
the
and
Canadians
everything?
are borders. So with Canidia in a sense is a much bigger territory than Rowan itself. Which when I finally get the map up onto the Rowan website for everybody to have access to, I'll be able to start working towards Canadian and especially those of Falconograd. Falconograd is a massive mountain range, but Canidia. The best way to think of it is Canidia not only is much larger than the Roans are, but they were probably one of the more successful evolutions when it comes to the growth of the world. Because way back in the day, before what is known as the Aether Cataclysm, the magical cataclysm that would make Rowan ponies what they are today, the Pegasi, Kelpies, the unicorns, the nocturnes, or bat ponies, as most people love to know them as.
Bat ponies are awesome.
Oh, yeah. Oh, they're adorable. They're all fluffy with their squeeze and their mangoes. But anyway, so the thing with Canidia is way back in the day, the Rowan Empire, or, decided to grow a little too big too fast. They wanted to Napoleon everything. And during that time, both what would become the Falconograd Empire, they teamed up with the Canadians, fought back the Rowan Empire, and nearly devastated them completely. Rowans for this time became indentured servants or even slaves, depending on what country took over their land, and this was their way of having to pay back for all the damages that they have caused.
Reparations, man.
Mhm.
Penance.
And the thing about Canadians is Canadians, similar to the Falconograd, they have the benefit of actually having fingers. During this time, the Roans didn't actually have mechanics. They didn't have access to hands. A lot of their trade, a lot of their clothing came from trade with borders and so on and so forth. What made them famous was their cavalry. Well, when firearms begins to evolve to the point where you kind of have the early day machine guns that you saw in the late Civil War, and a cavalry will not stand up to machine guns, and then also concentrated cannon fire. That led to the fall of the Roman Empire, and for Canada began having a lot of advancements in mechanical engineering, and that's where you kind of got more of the heavy diesel punk that you would see in games, where Canadians were able to make the first airships to be able to fly around, but a lot of that got lost when we had the collapse of nearly all the countries after the Cataclysm. It was such a devastating event. You're talking about mountains rising from the ground, other mountains flipping upside down, turning into caves, and so on and so forth.
Yeah. The rats, generic of what people know of them. I mean, a lot of people don't even know the rats even exist. In some cases, they're kind of almost, well, that's urban myth. They aren't real.
Rats of unusual size and magic?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. They, at first, people just think that they're just what they are in the know. Think of them as just being this kind of, chaotic leftover from the Great Cataclysm. But as things start progressing, I'm not giving any spoilers, am I here?
Well. So the
Ask your
one way,
boss.
yep, the one thing to describe him is that close to the end of this cataclysmic war, which will also answer the question that I saw that was dropped about whether they all work cohesively or by themselves. Rats were just rats. And where I pulled this from is when you look at World War I, one of the most terrifying things to a soldier were trench rats. Because, you're damp, you're muddy, you might be bleeding, and the last thing you want to wake up to is a whole pile of rats going, hey, smorgasbord.
And these are rats that could survive in those environments, so they were the biggest, meanest, toughest, smartest, and most aggressive rats.
And now we're talking about dragon magic, such as death magic, and then the cataclysm all coming together, where other races got the benefit of access to magic, where the Roans were able to essentially have a forced evolution that separated them out into the various ponies. The rats weren't so lucky because of the amount of death, disease, and tragedy that they were embroiled in, that they were just taken advantage of and eating because, well, it's not their fault. They were just rats. The cataclysm hyper-evolved them to a point where one of the major guards is known as the Ouroboros guards, because the thing is that rats essentially live off of pure malice, chaos, once again, your deadly sins, your vices, because living on that eases their pain. It's also what causes their pain. So it's this endless cycle of their pain is eased, and then they go back to having pain again. So
it's like opium addiction.
Very much. And taking on that addiction, it also starts causing them to have massive genetic growths. They start growing more eyes. They grow Hulk-like. There may be the rumors of some being the size of tanks or bigger.
You end up with things like here where basically the lower body is turned into like this large collection of like intestinal tissue and everything, like this large snake type. It's like this Naga almost like creature. I've got there's one called the Oozer, which actually doesn't really have any kind of serious form. It can kind of ooze its way through grates and through pipes and slide underneath your door and everything like that. Okay, Kitty, glad you could join us tonight. Hope you can come back next time. I'll have to hang out with pirates.
Yeah, thank you for being with us.
Arr.
So to finally finish it, when it comes to the idea of whether they work in unison or they work alone, it is a 50-50 mix. The inspiration for the rat variants, besides Secret of Nim, One other little ingredient was there is a myth. There's a creature known as the crown. They call it the crown of rats, and this is something that came about during way back in the day, where when you found masses of rats, you actually had it where, because rat tails are extremely long, you had it where sometimes rats would tangle up with each other, forming massive knots of just all these rats. And villagers would find these things and they would think it is an omen. They would think it's the sign of the devil. It is that a crown of these disgusting rats have been made with their tail, that they would believe that it is crowning a bad thing that is going to be coming to them. So when it comes to the with the rat variants, there is the idea of the Rat King, which you could almost think Nutcracker in a sense. When you have enough rats with a Rat King, they're pulled together that they form something like a hive mind. This hive mind, the stronger it gets, you have a king or a queen of the hive mind, and they are able to control the rest of these things. So essentially they started falling into almost an organization where there are the dukes and the barons, the baroness, the duchesses, and at this point you have your little lone wolf rats that are just doing whatever they want, being psychotic, being crazy, and that's generally what most of the world kept running into. When it came to the hive minds, some of the hive minds started having wars with each other because, well, if I can absorb you, I have your power, I have your control. And what's going to happen is Rowan World at War, we finally come down to a hive mind that is based on the sin, the vice of pride. And he sees himself as the Rat King, and he's a big Rat King.
Oh yeah, yeah. He's
We enter into essentially the World War II, where he is able to start sending out his little feelers and go, I want you to go to Falconograd and cause a little trouble between the Ministry and Rowan. I want you to go to Rowan, and there's a scientist working on a weapon. Well, you should convince a politician, transform yourself to be a sexy-looking mayor, and, bet a politician and convince them that they should change the law so that a scientist can't make a certain device. But then make sure that we obtain that device.
and of course there's parts of the world because of the cataclysm where the ether on the maize is so bad, no one can go into, but the rats can. And in these areas, these what people for the most part think are just dead lands, the rats are growing in numbers, and they're developing industry that's basically powered off of this maize. And they only start getting some ideas going, hey, like water flow out of this river is like dropping and we're not quite sure what the heck is going on here. And some
Rats
people,
got it.
what's that?
Rats got it. Rats using it.
Yeah, but they don't know, they go, they have that many rats. Maybe there's some kind of like environmental disaster, some natural phenomenon that's occurred that we haven't been able to detect yet, and that's what's causing it. But then ponies start putting the dots together and they go, no, something is happening, and then it all breaks.
Showing off a couple of the rat pieces that you've done, Baron.
Mm-hmm.
So we got ourselves like the Devourer. We got an idea of how the mutations work when it comes to the rat variants. And
I've been, some of the preliminary stuff I've done for the Rat King, I've been very, this is going to be so much fun. I want to do a color piece of the Rat King.
that is definitely looking. There we go. There's our Oozer. Imagine the ultimate infiltration where, you know what, the Rat King demands that someone needs to be taken care of. Well, how do you stop something that will essentially be the blob that decides to go through your air vents? Starts making you paranoid too. What if it doesn't actually attack? What if it just, starts driving you crazy? And there's a common rat variant before the major transformations. That's just
the minor.
Yep, that's just a crazy guy.
That's the Scavenger? Yeah, Scavenger's is like your basic minion foot soldier type.
Oh, you know what? Because I can't forget, a lot of inspiration from John Carpenter's The Thing.
Oh yeah. But a lot of all that was just going, okay, let's see now. What have I had dreams of in the past? What has Apple Bloom had to deal with last week? Right. Okay. Inspiration. Yeah,
Art Hobbit, yes they do. Generic Avatar, the Devourer as a plushie. I would almost think it would be interesting if the Devourer was like a little side pouch so you could put your dice in it. That would be something cool, but that might be a stretch goal if I can find someone who can make a cute looking set of a couple of Devourers, because then you can put your dice in it, and then you have to fight the Devourer to get your dice back.
or if you have like your blind bag characters you're using for like miniatures in the game, you can just throw them in the Devourer.
So what? Okay, so Mighty Muffins asks, "Hey, I got a good dumb question for Care, Baron, and Clear. So what is the best music to play in the background while playing the game to immerse you into the environment? For while Nate drops 1920s to 40s, for me sometimes
Fallout
I like
soundtrack, yeah.
for me sometimes I like dropping 80s because it's kind of like some of the 80s cartoons. There's nothing like bombastic, heavy music. But for the campaigns I'm going to be running, oops, sorry guys. For the campaign I'm going to be running up, I do got some choice music that I had from my music CD of Return to Castle Wolfenstein. And that had some really good soundtracks that will fit the semi-military atmosphere that I've got for this little one-shot adventure people will join.
Yeah.
Good night, Agni.
For some of it, I would say Electro Swing.
Yeah, for the cheerful parts.
For the cheerful parts.
A little bit of Caravan Palace and
Tape
Pavlov's Stellar.
And Tape 5. I'm very fond of Tape 5.
Dave Brubeck is another one that I would say is good for the more calmer moments, such as talking with Tony Tuponi, one of the mafia bosses.
Yeah.
Just trying to get yourself just a little bit of business conducted here. You know what I mean, Paisan?
So we got that. For our stuff, I would say things like for some of the darker stuff. When I'm working on the Radivarians, I'll put on things like Libot. No, it is great. I'll think. Hang on a second here. I have the playlist on my phone.
One quick thing I will say while he's doing that. So with the game, I'm going to have a couple pre-made characters. But for people who make a base level pre-made character for the game, I'll take a quick look at it. And if it's agreeable, and I do like it, you'll also be awarded a style point for having come prepared with a pre-made character. This is just to say, hey, thanks for taking the time to create your character and join us.
Lustmord. If you want to, when I'm working on Radivarian stuff, I will quite often put on Lustmord's Heresy. Put on headphones.
Have a good night, Nate, and thank you for coming out again.
Yes.
Folks, please definitely check him out. This guy, unfortunately, he's got himself a night shift. So good luck with that, and I do hope your week goes well.
But yeah, Lustmord's Heresy. You can find them on. Lustmord is the group. Heresy is the album. There's actually several albums they've done, but Heresy in particular, I think, was one of their magnum opus type things. Turn all the lights off in the room, put on headphones, and just let your mind go to dark places. And Lustmord Heresy will be a great guide for you. You might not like what you find, but you're going to find some amazing things.
I would say a few things Nate pointed me out to were things like Nightwish. Me and him have always enjoyed Within Temptation. A lot of the European music groups that are out there.
I say Deutsch Nepal does some pretty good stuff.
Baron, strictly for you, what song or theme would fit Patina in the game?
Oh, I know I know exactly how I would answer.
Well, there's a couple of them. One of them that would be a very good one is Aerosmith's Ragdoll. Another one would be.
I think that fits way too well, actually.
There's that one. Tape 5's Geraldine's Routine could be a very good one.
Pavlov's Stellar, The Booty Swing.
Yes, that would be an excellent choice for her. But yeah, Ragdoll is an excellent matchup for her. You could also do, let's see here, what would be some other good ones I could think of offhand? There is some stuff from Manhattan Transfer that I rather like. The song Sassy would be a good one for Patina.
If she were in a more modern setting, I would say Lady Gaga or Madonna.
Yeah, well, there's a couple Madonna pieces on her soundtrack.
Sabaton.
Actually,
Definitely Sabaton's a nice one, along with Powerwolf.
Once again, I have a Patina soundtrack.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no.
Let's hear, yeah, She's a Beauty, if you're for something more modern, from The Tubes. Contagious from Y&T. Fire,
Chicago.
the Fire Below from Bob Seger. Sassy from Manhattan Transfer. Another one because she did several calendars, is, of all things, Neil Sedaka's Calendar Girl. Call Me from Blondie. Main Street from Bob Seger. Slow and Easy from Whitesnake. Her Strut from Bob Seger. Rock Me from Great White. Horizontal Bop from Bob Seger. Kodachrome from Paul Simon. Tonight She Comes from the Cars. What You Doing Tonight? Oh, Royal Crown Review. There's actually several things from Royal Crown Review that'd be good for her.
Actually, I do give points for the Kodachrome. That is a song I truly do enjoy hearing.
Look at Little Sister from Stevie Ray Vaughan. And Seduced from Leon Redbone.
Oh, you got a couple you got to add to that. The Principles of Lust and Mea Culpa from Enigma.
Those actually...
That's for when it's humping time.
Yeah.
That's less theme music and more. We had to cut that scene because because we had to keep it to an R rating.
Yeah.
You know, at that point, you might as well get System of a Down's Pogo Stick.
Yeah. Freeze Frame from Gay Giles and Centerfold from Jay Giles.
Folks are saying you need to post this playlist.
Yep. And I Can Dream About You from the Streets of Fire original soundtrack.
Streets of Fire.
Yes. Yeah. So,
quick thing for those who don't know, from the same maker who did the film The Warriors, Streets of Fire. One, you're going to see a very, very young Willem Dafoe sporting a duck butt hair and wearing trash bag overalls. But it is the inspiration to Bubblegum Crisis. Even the maker said he saw Streets of Fire and went, "I know what I must make."
It was like this. It was like this dystopic West Side Story.
It's like a 20/1950s.
Yeah.
It was all over the place, but man, the music was the rocking 80s music, and it was.
Yep.
It was just a great film.
I Can Dream About You is one of the ones that pops up.
With Tom Cody rounds.
Uh-huh.
Oh God, Lego! Don't get me started on ELO. I'm a huge ELO fan, or at least.
Okay, now, call me from Blondie. Yes. It fits like a glove. Okay, I'm really out of here now. I'm out.
You have a good night, Nate.
Sure. Yeah.
We should probably take care. We need to take care of our duties sometime in the near future.
We have, yeah. How about we do that right now?
That's a good, excellent idea. What we're thinking
about.
Do
the duty because we did do the duty on the things that we done did. Yeah, and what we done did is we say thank you to University Art for keeping Barron supplied with art supplies. University Art is a high-end art supply store with branches in Sacramento, Redwood City, and San Jose, California. They have a knowledgeable sales staff who are all artists themselves, but are not on commission, which means they are free to recommend the best equipment that you need, not the expensive equipment. They have a first-rate framing shop, museum-quality framing. Your art will look great long after you are old and gray like me. They have demonstrations and seminars and workshops and trade fairs and craft fairs and all kinds of good stuff. It's a community as much as it is an art supply store. And they also occasionally are nice enough to loan us their employees to be guests. You've seen Jaya, you've seen Jeff Braunschreiber. And, well, I guess technically Barron is an ex-employee, so yeah, they put up with him for 20 years, so they have patience. Yeah. So we want to say thank you to them for helping Barron live the dream. Without that kind of support, I mean, support your local artists. I'm telling you, it's important.
It needs to happen. Foster that good friendship. Yep. And Cato, thank you for joining us. You take care.
Yep.
All right, see you later, Cato.
Since people are actually kind of curious about this, I guess what I'll do is I'll put Patina's soundtrack up. I'll put Rosemary's soundtracks. I have one for Rosemary. I have one for Viper. I'll put Viper's soundtrack up. And I'll put up my Equestria soundtrack, because I have actually Equestria Instrumental and I have Equestria General.
On a quick thing, I had a couple questions that I saw.
Sure.
So for a few things, Lego did ask, because as the response came from Cadwin, he did ask about ELO. I am a huge fan of a lot of the classics. Thanks to my dad, he made sure I wasn't being poisoned by by a lot of the Hansons and all that junk. He was giving me ELO.
That's pretty poisonous,
He was
yeah.
giving me Dire Straits, which has made, my guitar god is Mark Knopfler.
Mark Knopfler versus David Gilmour. Go.
Don't make me choose between my babies.
Oh,
They're two very different styles.
Knopfler and Brian May.
Mark Knopfler with Dire Straits. I've enjoyed REO Speedwagon. I do love a lot of the classics that are out there from 60s, 70s, and even the 80s, going in with Pat Benatar, Cyndi Lauper,
Foreigner.
Foreigner.
Joan Jett.
It's getting a little hot-blooded in here.
Yeah.
But
I can't
you
see with
can
these
see.
double visions.
Yeah. Now, Sora's asking the question, what is this pony? What I'm doing is, now this is one possible design for one of the, basically, automatons, you call them?
Automatons, yep.
Well, the automaton ponies. I decided to make kind of an automaton version of Patina.
Shiny butt.
Because I can.
Polish that thing.
That's right.
One quick little prop I do want to give, and then I'm going to answer a question that Sonny Starbright did drop, but Lego, thanks to ELO, he dropped Daikon 4. Daikon 4, for folks who actually want to check out the video later on, it was just a little fan animation by a group of fan animators who loved anime, who would one day go on to do many, many of today's greatest animes. Now, Daikon, this is a super old, what was it? That was, so Daikon 4 was 1980s?
Yeah.
That was
And
late
you
80s.
watch the animation, you're just thinking like, my God, people did this during this time. And people didn't see animation like this for the most part. We were used to super early Star Blazers or Spaceship Yamato, calling it by the correct name, super early Gundam with its very, Transformers style, very old, blocky robots. So, props there. But very important question. Sonny Starbright says, Clear Skies, for those learning how to do RPG with Rowan, how does one go about learning how to play from the Rowan RPG book? Are there any helpful websites or videos? Well, one of the things that I would like to do is I would like to start doing videos that I will look at recording at home, posting them up to YouTube so that people can have access to playing the Rowan game, besides making your characters, running a campaign, knowing how the monsters work, knowing how the system works. In terms of actually being a GM, making your game accessible to your players, creating the campaign to play, or even being a player, someone I'd like to point out is from Critical Role, Matt Mercer. Now,
Matt Mercer is, like I say, is my wife.
he to me, I see him as like the talking Bible of good RPG gaming. He's not the guy who just sits there and goes, according to the book, you need to. He goes, look, to make fun happen, you got to sit with your players, and you got to understand your players, but you also have to help the players understand you. Not everybody runs a game the same way. Matt Mercer, for folks who might know him as the voice of Leon S. Kennedy from Resident Evil 2 and onwards. He's also done tons of voice acting.
Oh, he's the cowboy character in Overwatch.
Yes.
What's the, it's high noon.
It's not McGrady, is it?
No,
I
it's
do
McCree.
know the character, but
McCree.
I don't play the
It's
Overwatch,
McCree.
unfortunately.
He's
McCree, that's right.
And he's also McCready in Fallout 4.
And
he's got a filmography as long as your arm.
yeah, another good one, even though he takes a very different tack, but sometimes it's good to see different people's ideas on how to do things, is Matt Colville. Matthew Colville has some wonderful stuff, but he's more from the GMing standpoint than the...
And he's also he's a professional video game designer. I mean, Evolve was his baby,
It's a shame they could have done a much better job supporting the Evolve game.
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, but Matt Colville also wrote the Critical Role comic that's coming out right now.
He's a busy person.
Again, you take a look at somebody like Matt Mercer, and Matthew Colville, who have day jobs. And by the way, Matthew Colville just had the highest level of support for a tabletop role-playing game project ever on Kickstarter. It ended up at almost $2 million.
Oh, I wish Rowan got that.
Yeah.
Well,
he's working D&D 5th edition, which is very widespread.
Well,
and
there you go.
Got a lot of cross promotion and stuff like that. But he did a Strongholds rule system for 5e. He actually used to briefly work for Wizards of the Coast.
Coast.
But he's much more tactical. You know, he is it's all
And
about
political.
Yeah, it's all about politics. It's all about he's the perfect intrigue GM. Matt Mercer is the perfect character GM.
So taking two questions now. Before the silly fun one, generic avatar does ask clear. What limits the size of flying ships in Rowan? Is it money or physics? Well, now in terms of a let's be honest, a fantasy game, when it comes to the world, yeah, money is definitely a big channeler when it comes to the creation of the larger size airships. So, if anything, look to Falconograd to be about making big, which, in a way, they're very representative of kind of a mixed culture of Germany, the 1940s Germany as well as Russia, which they did have kind of the sense of build it big, which, especially in terms of their airplanes, wasn't always good because when you build a solid airplane of solid steel and someone goes, well, what about resonance? And a certain big, gigantic airplane goes shaking itself apart out of the sky.
But I guess
That's called flutter.
I guess one of the questions might be asked is, say, like tonnage. Are airships like in Rhone generally limited to less than 10,000 tons? Can they go over 20,000 tons? Can they go
So
50,000
at
tons?
least, well, for my explanation of it, you could almost think of if we can get an aircraft carrier up there, taking the World War II variations,
Yamato.
we will get one up there. But at the same time, if it goes boom,
We lost a lot of money.
you lost a lot of people too.
A question: does Robo Patina come with a built-in piggy bank?
I know where I want to put the quarter.
Yeah, I was gonna say that generic. This is Patina and money.
But where do you want to put the?
Well, I can certainly say the joke has come up with when we were talking about the character Engel, which from our little robot friend here, Engel. Hopefully she's coming through. Engel here is an automaton medic. Now the thing is that she will steal the suits and clothes from Dale, because Dale is a snappy dresser when he goes out looking for, a good time on the town, mares to meet and to dine and drink and have a great time. So these two are what you would consider wingmates, even though they're not always. They don't get it because Engel doesn't understand the concept of talking to regular people. And when it comes to Dale, well, Dale has to help Engel hook up with appliances. So it's kind of hard. He has a difficult time because he'll look at a mixer and go, hey, that mixer was beeping at you. And Engel will look over and go, that mixer mixes with everybody. One of the art pieces that Raven Puff did was just Engel sitting there looking with bedroom eyes, holding a plug. We'll just leave it at that.
I am reminded of the appliances at the big MT in the one of the expansions of Fallout New Vegas, Old World Blues. Where like some crazy guy had decided to give all of his appliances, personalities, and they hate each other.
So I figured the quick, easy question, once again, from generic avatar towards Baron, does Robo Patina have the built-in piggy bank, which we had, a little ha-has about. The other question was Nezumi, which was the simple one of channeling my inner Toxic Mario here. What was your gateway drug anime? For me, surprisingly, Galaxy Express 999 and Captain Harlock.
For me, even though I know this will make a lot of people wince, but it got me looking around. I mean, I had known about Star Blazers, and I had known about Speed Racer, but I never had associated it as being anime. It was just cartoons. The one that got me kind of hooked was Robotech, because then I started wanting to learn about, and I started asking around, because, that's based off of this combination of these air shows. Okay, now I want to learn about these shows, because I sure enjoyed this. I'd like to see the original source material, and it looked even more awesome than the series I was watching. So I have to say, Robotech was probably what got me hooked.
Yeah. I'm not what you would call a deep anime fan. I mean, there was some early stuff. I mean, when I was 6, 7 years old, it was Kim by the White Lion and Speed Racer. But for me, I don't know if it even counts It's Miyazaki stuff.
Counts for me.
Yeah, most of the anime series that people refer to, I'm not really a huge fan. You know,
But you like Princess Tutu.
that was different. I mean, I would say I was less interested in or liked Princess Tutu and more just this flat-line-brained fascination. 'Cause it really
It's
is
an
unusual.
interesting anime.
Yeah, well, again, it's a waste of LSD, but it was just fascinating. One, because it was different, and two, because this was some innovative writing. It's like, wow, you know.
Suddenly the character doesn't want to do what the writer said. Wait, you can't do that.
Well, the writer is the sort of the not just the Greek chorus, but almost something of an antagonist from time to time.
Yeah.
Yeah, and again, it will break your brain. I heartily recommend it.
Yep. Okay, and it's about 7:30. So why don't we switch cameras here? So like I said, I'll probably get around, finish shading that up and
It's
everything.
looking really nice. Actually, for at some point, if you want to, we'll see about showing off the rats, because apparently Nizumi missed out on your rat.
Okay. Yeah. Well.
That is looking really good, though.
Yeah. See if I can get finished and get them scanned and put up at least before the con or after the convention. So we're gonna take another 5-minute break and we're gonna air this place out because this place is getting mighty.
Yeah, three sweaty bodies.
390 watt bulbs in here.
Yeah, the three-body problem.
Yes.
Which, by the way, is the name of a Chinese, very well-written science fiction story that's being made into a movie.
Oh. Wow.
It's being made into a movie by a Western group. It's being
Okay.
adapted. So cool.
Yep.
All right, we'll
All right.
see you guys in
5. And we're back.
Hey.
Hey,
Had to shed
T-Bo.
a couple layers there.
Hey there, Tebow. Yes.
Hey,
and,
welcome.
And the bar has provided us. Thank you very much.
Dankeschön.
Remember to tip him well.
Oh, certainly.
Yeah.
Cheers, everybody.
Oh. So we're now into the heading into our 3rd hour of the stream, and I guess one of the things that I'm kind of curious is that. So what exactly will we be talking about Sunday morning at the panel?
All right, so
at BabsCon.
So, coming into the BabsCon channel, now, Nizumi, I did see your previous question about what is my new addiction for anime. I promise I'll get to that a little bit later. Most important, so current topics that we'll talk about at the Rowan panel. A little bit we'll touch on about being able to, creation of the world, creation of the game. How do you actually take your steps to be able to, to come into creating your own, or even creating something to add to the world, a new expansion. The other side of it is a lot of talk about Rowan World at War. A little bit of a sneak peek. For those who've been following, Rowan World at War is going to focus on a world war, which involves the Ratvarians with their Croatian allies, as well as maybe another ally. Always got to have your Axis powers. And when it comes to it, it's going to be able to allow people to deal with things such as the espionage. There's going to be kind of both a major war going on and a little bit of those Cold Wars, where while big things are happening, you have all the little chess pieces. You are looking probably at one of those large chessboards that is moving about. And how this system is going to work is that it's split into multiple different combat scenarios. Scenario 1, platoon combat. Platoons are built just like a character. So your platoon is your character. You move them with your friends as well as NPC platoons across the map to combat each other. What you will then run into is, so you run into them fighting until they can get to an objective. So say the major objective is take a town, because within the town there is a colonel, there is a general, there is a secret plan, an underground base. You must stop it. The primary function of the platoons is they move in, the players play war and surround the town. Once they've accomplished that primary objective, you then play your
You-
actual characters.
You switch roles to the actual player character. So you go from the gross down to the more fine.
Essentially, you've become the saboteurs, or the special forces,
Or basically, Howling Commandos.
pretty much.
Yeah.
And the Dirty Dozen. So
Right.
at this point, your basic characters then go in to do the actual job, which is taking out the general, blowing up the major supply line, taking out a heavy water facility.
Saving the scientist, whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Smuggling a spy, rescue a spy or a traitor who wants to actually give information. And so what this will do is this will allow a major variation. One of the things that I'm pushing towards other GMs as well as players, though, is that the hard part for a tabletop game, especially in this case, is when they go, well, what about like having airplanes and airships and tanks at the same time? That actually will remain kind of as the background. They are there, they're happening, but you start trying to add too many things, and then your game turns into Warhammer 40K or Warhammer games in general, where one round takes 2 hours.
Or it turns into Advanced Squad Leader. And we're not going there. Now,
Here's a phone
Not that
book.
kind of game.
Yeah. Now, Dorian has an interesting question about automatas.
Clear world question. Can automatas be physically, romantically involved, or is that just a non-possibility?
That sounds like an equipment package issue.
Well, here's the best part about that is that magic kind of helped give a soul to them. For those who may have seen Bicentennial Man with Robin Williams, it's kind of sort of an idea that I have no issues with, of an automaton that wants to continue evolving itself until it has the ability that it wants to be able to procreate or anything like that.
Yeah, or just as
for the romance, there's nothing wrong with it.
Or just want to be romantically involved.
There's definitely nothing wrong with it because, because as they say, even today, medically, they've shown that, well, getting me to feel the nerves in my fingers again is a doctor going, hey, we kind of noticed that our brains in a way have 0 and 1s. So if we can just figure out the 10 billion lines of code that is ever changing in your brain, we might be able to give back feeling, or we might be able to help someone have feeling, or regrow things.
Okay, Big Diesel has a question. Can Canadians use magic?
Pretty much everybody can. Magic is not just
technology, yeah.
Yeah, magic is not a thing of just you have to be a unicorn. Anyone has access to magic. You merely have to learn the school and pick it up as a talent. From talents being essentially this version of a D&D's feats, you have access to it. You can now cast spells.
And you are correct, Lego. Ghost in the Shell is a very good. Shiro explored some concepts of what exactly does it mean to be human? What exactly identifies an individual? And so
next to the 10,000 lines of text of spirituality that he goes into.
Yeah. At least it's not Orion.
That was bad.
That was
Cool art, but
Buddha tech.
I don't know what I was reading.
Yeah, near did I, and I've read several times, both sober and not sober. But yeah, it's the automatons are kind of a cool thing. Some of them are like statues that were brought to life. Some that were ponies that were turned into automatons. There's a whole range of possible scenarios. It's not like, they all came off this assembly line and they've all got serial numbers on their butts or something like that.
Actually, with one of the adventures that a friend of mine has been working on, with the city of Operandus, the city of art and music that was lost forever, you will start getting introductions of the marionettes, generally nicknamed the Bloody Marys.
Yep.
Imagine essentially very, very durable porcelain dolls as puppets, kind of just walking towards you like a puppet does, with no strings, almost kind of floating off the air. Fully creepy.
Yep.
And that is the aim.
Yes, you can't. A pony can't be turned into an automaton.
Very Silent Hill with that type of world.
Very Five Nights at Freddy's.
Yes, it is.
Oh, I always go the Silent Hill 2 especially.
Well, why don't we flip that camera back around here again, Jared? Well, we can keep talking about this stuff, and we can get back to some more art.
Let's go. Let's see, generic in Rowan, anybody can use magic to cheat at cards. Well, certainly, but then...
And they can use magic to detect you cheating at cards.
Yes, they can.
And then they can use magic to string you up from the nearest tree.
And the table may have fields to cancel.
And that's the thing, is that, so one of the technologies that has grown for Rowan is the Roan ponies have advanced in gem technology. So you would have a gem processing unit. Haha, a GPU. I felt clever. Give me some props, but
So very droll.
must say, well, with pennies taking on the gem processing units, they would utilize. So, dumping the silliness. The idea of gem processing units is that
There.
diamonds, quartz, all the variations of different minerals are able to contain a magical charge, or they're able to run a charge across it, essentially kind of like looking at a silicon chip and the way it utilizes signals to be able to send those zeros and ones. So ponies were able to start boosting and creating engines using gem technology.
He's using the right ones, Diesel. You can tell because they're black framed instead of silver braid.
Yep.
I like how the audience is now starting to get like, oh, we gotta get Baron on that. Baron, save your eyes.
Well, again, say Baron's audience say collectively is his dead mother.
There's some
Best
dead
way to
mother,
put
but
it.
there's also some of the most precious stuff I've got because it's because of them that I'm able to do what I'm doing now. So.
Oh, and Nizumi, there is something very similar to that. It's called piezoelectrics that actually exist, where you compress crystals and you get a little current out of them. There's microphones that are piezoelectric. There's strain gauges that are piezoelectric.
There's fuses that are piezoelectric. RPG-7 grenades use a
So
piezoelectric
there's
fuse.
the idea of a microphone, a little bit of washout there going there, unfortunately, and then an example of a singer who would sing utilizing the microphone. And but yeah, so the thing is that towards the future, you'll definitely start seeing them go with like, aha, I've invented the not Apple II, and Applejack comes up going, aha. I still wait for that to happen.
And Mighty Muffin has a question. What is the hardest thing about doing a panel? Is it pacing a panel? Is it figuring out what you're going to discuss on a panel?
Planning it down because you know that you have a limited amount of time, I would say is difficult. If anything, I would almost like to say it's the opening of the panel itself, because
Getting the ball
I
rolling.
learned the term the panelitis. When you have more people on the panel than you do who do attendees, and it was a bit. We felt that we almost had that because people were getting out of other panels, so they weren't in ours yet. So I was like, Baron, what do we do? There's nobody in here. And for a moment, I'm like, he's like, oh, we might have panelitis. It just might be the unfortunate bit that not enough people know about Rowan. And then we got a flood of people, and I was like, oh, thank God.
The best thing is starting to go forward. Part of the trick is planning for what you want to discuss and how you want to pace in the panel. At the same time, with the realization you cannot commit yourself too tightly to a game plan. It's kind of like being a GM. You have to expect that the people attending your panel, are going to maybe cause it to head off in directions you might not have initially considered. And when that happens, you roll with it.
Yeah, well, that's right. Generic. The piezoelectric crystals is essentially a strain gauge. Where if they are deformed very slightly, they change electrical characteristics and generate electricity.
Mm-hmm.
So there you go.
Oh, bravo. Yeah, silicon, not silicone. Here's the thing. Even when I was younger, I was never calling it the Sony PlayStation was the Sony. So I had a lot of friends just go, dude, that's not how it's pronounced. I'm like, well, I never heard anyone else say it to me. But I don't mind minor critiques. Sometimes that pops up. It helps me with my my grammar and the way I need to say things properly.
You get one
yes,
per show segment.
As a matter of fact, I do have a Twitter. It's accessible from the website as well, the www.rowanrpg.com. And for the Twitter, it's Clear Skies GM, which wasn't Game Master. Actually, it's Clear Skies the Game Mechanic, which is what I'm going to be rolling as for all my Picardo video game talks. Thank you, Dorian. And as a matter of fact, Dorian, again, thank you for picking up one of the Rowan pins. I was definitely happy to have you collect that. Oh, Foxfire, on the other side, once we get a chance, I definitely want to talk about adventure writings. So hopefully hopefully there's going to be some free time for you and I to be able to discuss additional adventures that we can then present to all our gamers here, which again, folks, Foxfire Glow is one of the writers that has helped me out immensely when it came to doing a lot of the additional content when it came to Rowan.
And of course, we have some people who are in the stream who provided some of the characters. Sunny Starbright
Sura.
Provided the Maine Coon, if I remember correctly.
I thought that was Sura, the character that had the.
Maybe it was. Maybe it is. Maybe I'm getting mixed up. If I am, no, you're right. It is Sura. It is Sura. I think it's Sura.
Yeah, because Sura had the coon.
Yeah, that's right. That's
the
right.
raccoon-tailed.
All I remember was I was working.
Aha, yep, Maine Coon.
Yeah, that was the one with the newsboy cap and
Right.
Yeah, that was a really nice piece of work, by the way.
Yeah.
Aaron.
Well,
It's a chapter header.
Sura did put in for the big numbers.
Oh, yeah.
So,
The reason why I'm a kind of bit of a haze was I did that piece in a bit of a blur on opiates because I was doing that. That's when I had my shoulder broken. That was one where I could work for 30 minutes. I had to take 15 minutes off. That I could work for 30 minutes. Get the piece done.
Please, folks, be absolutely careful when you hurt yourselves. At least, for someone like myself, I'm fully understanding that if something breaks on your body, you need to take a break. Because the last thing I want to have happen, if you're working for me, is to continue to try to do work, which is only going to make it worse for you in the future. Because the last thing I want to be, is that, 5 years later, your arm decides to completely go.
And everyone goes, yeah, Rowan was the last project Baron worked on. After that, now his arm was completely useless and he couldn't draw again.
That boy ain't
Pitchforks,
right.
torches,
Yeah.
burn Clear's house down, or apartment. Well, don't do the apartment because other people happen to live there. You can wait for me to get in my car. Clear, you familiar with Gundam? Oh, yeah, definitely familiar with Gundam. By the way, Char, best pilot ever. The only reason why the main character is okay is because he has a freaking Gundam. And Gundanium is the only life-saving change that keeps Char from killing him. Anyhow, back
So
into it.
I'm making, basically, in case you're wondering what the heck is Baron drawing here, I'm starting to draw lines. I'm drawing a parachutist pony.
Aha, paratrooper.
Parapone.
And there's and then there's the Pegasus just going, I don't need those.
Yeah. Well, I'm still reminded of who's it that did the Earth pony with the bomb?
That was Stedelnick.
That was glorious.
The character with the pigeon toes. You
Yeah.
couldn't see. It was a Pegasus.
Was it Pegasus? Okay.
You couldn't see the way. No, we're gonna chuck an Earth pony off an airplane with a bomb strapped to him.
And then they had parachute. I get into position and I release it.
Yeah, unless the enemy shoots them.
Yeah.
Could you imagine that on the battlefield? Shoot me! Shoot me! And everybody going, he's strapped with a big hydrogen bomb. Run! Could work. Let's see, Mighty Muffin says, so Baron and Clear, let me ask you two this. Besides the rat variants, Baron is the most interesting character.
I think what is.
Okay, Baron, what is the most interesting character you had to draw in Rowan? And Clear, who in the game was the hardest character to create in general, personality-wise?
Okay. Who's the most interesting character to draw in Rowan? This is going to sound incredibly biased, and it's a totally subjective decision. This is not based off any kind of objective thing. But when Clear said, hey, do you want to have Patina in the game? Boy, howdy, did she just light up in my head, and I started getting this fire hose of ideas and suggestions. And it was a hoot going back and having to watch old Humphrey Bogart, Maltese Falcon, Gumshoe Detective, Sam Spade type stuff to get a feel for her, how we were going to integrate her into the world. And there was some points I was going, okay, so I get to have her as an NPC. And I was going, well, how much clout are you willing to give her, Clear Skies? And he's, oh, yeah, what about dope at this point? I'm like, okay.
She's an upper tier character.
It's like, all right.
She has plot immunity, so to speak.
So, for me, and this was my having to speak with Mixer Mike and discuss, trade ideas, learn about the character. Actually was a pretty difficult character.
That force of nature.
the Flufflepuff.
Oh, yes. Yeah,
There
integrating
was
her.
a lot of work in balancing, getting the idea what was Flufflepuff going to do, and Flufflepuff is a purveyor of antiquities. She will appear in front of adventures at random if the GM likes, and go, and with her, she will appear out of nowhere and just go, "Hey," in her translation, "you just happen to pick up a rare artifact. I would like it. Here are my other artifacts. The only thing is, don't rip her off. Don't attack her."
Otherwise, Marceline will come out of dead
no.
space, and yeah.
Oh well, nothing like that. In this world, you will get fluffled. You will become a Flufflepuff for a temporary amount of time, which just means the weirdest things will happen, such as the players will watch you get picked up by a butterfly and taken away. Now they have to drop everything and chase after you until you revert back to a regular pony. At the on the other note,
Your food will start talking to you.
and this is kind of the this actually jokingly kind of became a good canon. Flufflepuff was there at the Cataclysm, which is the reason why she can't even tell people anything.
She caused it.
See,
She just didn't know what went wrong.
and then okay, I see what Lego was talking about when it came to Gundam. He's asking about Gundam Wing, which became pretty big thanks to Toonami. I believe Zex Marquise is better than Red Comet. Well, I mean, we're also talking about many years later in the future when it comes to Zex Marquise with the Peacecraft family. My problem when it came to Gundam Wing was even at my age, I was already noticing that characters were just many of the characters were a little too much of the edgy persuasion. As beautiful as Gundam Wing is and Endless Waltz is, I actually my favorite character was Zex. Also because the tall geese was awesome.
So Flufflepuff is defeatable in the game.
Nope.
Don't even
Her
try.
armor is... Well, Foxfire, you might have one too many drinks and you just see a big giant pink ball that you think is a punching bag. Anything could happen.
You might regret it afterwards, but then again, after you've had a hard night drinking, there's a lot of things you might regret.
That's a bit of a Doctor Strange love callback there with Pinky.
Yeah, and of course that's Applejack's hat.
Mm-hmm.
You come back with that, Pinky.
Yeah.
But
Nobody
actually,
can beat
kind
the
of Colin,
flow.
dropping the card again. You'll find this on the Rowan RPG site. There's a way to be able to contact me. Again, for those who feel competent in their writing, if you can provide me just a little short, half a page, give me a good concept for an adventure. All I'm looking for are simple, small adventures that I can roll out on Drive-Thru RPG. And this actually is paid work. I generally do between, depending on the quality, between 3 to 4 cents a word, which is, if you look up a lot of the industry standards, that's actually being really good for pretty much what I'm making. Yeah. But I want to
Indie
make sure
RPGs,
that.
yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, Pathfinder's generally anywhere between 5 to 7 cents a word. And of course, when you think about someone who sits down and does 50,000 words, you start seeing some good money. What I'm looking at least, is if you're able to do it between 3,000 to 6,000 words, maybe for a big one-shot, 10,000 words. A lot of this will just be something that I can provide to players to continue giving them more content and maybe even additional NPCs, additional rules and feats that they, or talents that they can take advantage, maybe even new races. And one of the things is that I'm always willing to open an ear when I have the time and hear what you've got to say.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Well, we already talked to you about here's my idea. Have I sent you the map yet?
I think you did. I think we've got that on
Right.
Skype, but just in case, we'll probably have to double check. But yeah.
We'll talk. Yeah, it will be a little bit lighter, in mood than basically it's a very tailspin type of thing,
Then
which
there's
you can get killed, but no, there will be no there will be no Baloo.
Oh, quick thing. Now this is kind of a favor towards Mixer Mike, the creator of Flufflepuff, who continues doing some beautiful animations when he has time. He's been working for a while on another piece. One thing that he kind of brought up, because he's been looking for groups who, and this is just for artists in general. One of the things is that artists love a good critique. Now, it's understandable. Not everybody can sit down and give, a good summary about, like, why do I like your art? Well, I like your art because I love the colors that are going into it, but maybe you need to fix a certain part of it, and a little bit of that comes down to we've probably been in streams where the moment you tell an
See
artist,
you later, Cat's Paw.
oh, bye, cats.
Yeah.
But one of the things that Baron and I figure Cadewin here has even chatted with Baron on this, is that artists like a good critique. And I've seen artists get a little annoyed when people jump on, say, DeviantArt, and the only response that they put in the comments is, "It's good," or "It's okay."
It sucks.
Well, if it's okay, maybe what could I've done to make it better for next time? But at the same time, there are artists out there who unfortunately feed the attitude of, don't give me critiques, give me praise. And the problem with that, what makes it kind of a tragedy, they never get better.
Now, the one of the things I will state is if I'm giving someone a critique, I will quite often send them a note.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes,
Keep it private.
Yeah, keep it
you might
private.
not want the tidal wave of
Right.
agreeers.
And you don't want to trigger a dog pile.
Right,
Mhm.
exactly.
And that's something that every fandom, including our own, is guilty of. Is they love a good lynch mob.
Oh, look at the tidal wave for the My Little Pony movie.
Yeah,
you,
and-
you
hell, I'm
definitely
thinking-
have your naysayers.
And some of it ends up being a case of, one, just keep it private when you're talking to the artist. Two, like I say, avoids the dog pile. If you say something, it's amazing how you'll have people come like, you can't say that to them. It's like, they asked for my feedback. So if you do it in private, it's a way to kind of keep that from that little problem from rearing its head.
Well, that's one nice thing about DeviantArt is if you put forward a formal, the artist has asked for critiques, it doesn't get posted until the artist says, that they've accepted it.
Right.
Mhm.
Right. So the artist can just say, yeah, this is just some guy that's trying to exert dominance by negging, by...
You do get a lot of trolls, and you do get a lot of, again, as I call some folks, the Wikipedians, which we've all had them, where, excuse me, according to Wikipedia, Renee would like to use a different brushstroke when it comes to water, and I feel that you need to emulate that experience to be able to truly make the light upon the feathers of Fluttershy really glow.
The comic book guy from The Simpsons.
Allow me
to check my sources on the internet. Yeah.
The internet is a great thing. It is a terrible thing.
Like
It was the best of nets. It was the worst of nets.
Let us go back to the days of Angel Fire and GeoCities. Let me tell you, my child. Mighty Muffins does ask, a fun question again. When coming up with your own characters and stories, what is the hardest thing to come up with when creating your original characters and the backstories? And he's actually kind of presenting this to not only us who are, here hosting the streams. He's presenting it towards everybody in the stream itself. I would say, at least for me, taking my character Clear Skies, which I really should finally put out there a stat block and everything. My character Clear Skies would definitely, being an NPC, have a little bit higher stat block, but the hardest thing is avoiding a Mary Sue.
Yes.
Avoiding a character that's just great at everything. Clear Skies, in a way, it is me. I know that I'm a very happy-go-lucky person, but it does tend to make me very irresponsible. He has that, he would have that as a flaw. One of the bigger things is he can go in for a fight, but he's more of someone who likes to create stuff. So you get someone who's more of he's a mechanic, and he's a mechanic who loves to fly. So what's the best thing to do? Well, if you can't just go out there, build your own plane then.
Yep.
Which, by the way, I'm doing. I have a half-assembled Vans Aircraft RV-10 in storage. My build partner kind of flaked.
Nice.
Yeah. I got the wings done. I got the empennage done.
Well, you sure? Oh,
Yeah.
actually, you know what? On taking on the question, you made Mr. Destroy with hammers, Thor himself, well, nearly Thor, but your character, one of the cool things is that Cade was able to sit in on one of my games at the last BabsCon, and he had a very destructive character, but I was fine with that. No, I was fine with that in the sense of the
I
game.
found a hole.
Every game has them, and honestly,
QA guy.
I've been thinking about a way that I could probably balance it out, and definitely talk with you on what can I do to at least cut the Warhammer down.
Well, in general, the Ubiquity system is not a bounded system, and what you got to watch out for is stack this, stack that, stack. I would suggest limiting the number of things you can stack, or to say, no matter what you do, it's so you can't stack more than double the base, that kind of thing.
But I will at least say it was a style chip that you did put down, and at that pivotal point, it was a go for it.
Yeah, I spent them all. I bribed you right back.
Actually, that was true. You dropped your entire stack, which
Uh-huh.
meant that if even if you got the hit, if a different character had popped you, you had no safety net.
Exactly. Well, again, it's jumping off the bridge and hoping you can hit the deep spot in the river below.
Yep.
Yeah, which that was literally it. Yeah, and besides, it was so cinematic.
Yeah,
That's one thing I love about the Ubiquity, and there are other systems that do the same thing. Hell, the official My Little Pony role-playing game from Hasbro has the exact same thing, where you can it's a blend of inspiration and the style points where you can cash them in for good stuff. Now, as far as creating characters is concerned and backstories, my biggest challenge is knowing when to stop.
Mm-hmm.
Because I just love doing that. I don't have too much of a problem with Mary Sue's. The closest that I came to a Mary Sue in anything that mattered was in a previous D&D game. I had an NPC that the party kind of adopted, Silverbrand, and it wasn't because he was too effective. It was just because he was such a nice guy. But in general, it's just knowing when to stop. I mean, I shared my completed character sheet, the after the fact character sheet with Robert for Garrett, the Warhammering pony, and it was like 7 pages of single space 11-point type for background. I don't know when to stop.
It evolved into a blue book, which
Yeah, exactly.
a blue book.
Well, it's a writer's Bible story.
Yeah.
Well, for me, it came from a friend of mine, Ross, a guy who is centered in the game development industry, especially with the tabletops. He was one of the big guys at Fantasy Flights when it came to Dark Heresy. And one of the things he did is he goes, you write a blue book with friends, a blue book where in the game you're doing all those things. Well, what happens between that 5-hour walk between point A to point B? That's the blue book.
Mm-hmm.
So you sit with your friends and go, well, this is what me and my partner talked about, which is why we are closer together as friends. Oh, and quick thing, Orca, the Kelpie that you saw, that's my character, Clear Skies.
Yeah.
It is an Irish Kelpie, because the thing is that, ignoring much of the complexion, I'm actually Irish-Korean. My mother's side is Korean. My dad's side is full-blooded Irish. So I can sit down and I can drink with the best of them.
Yep. And that was a fun piece to do about that's an experimental art book I did some work for.
Yamato envy.
Mm-hmm. But the biggest thing is that generally what I look at as Mary Sue is a character that has completed what would be their story arc, and so essentially it's like saying, I don't want the character that becomes the Jedi. I want the Jedi now.
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, but you're missing out on the fun adventure. You build the things that maybe you were becoming a Jedi, but you turned into a Sith because you find out that, the Sith weren't wrong. I love these characters and I care, and the Jedi are all about celibacy and don't have fun and ignore these things. And you're like, but I disagree with that.
Yeah, again, if the most interesting part of your character's story arc is in the background,
make a different character.
Yeah, and that's also one of the things too. And of course, there's a difference between making a player character and making an NPC.
Well, right.
When I set out to create Patina, I deliberately made her vague on a lot of her. In fact, her history is very, very vague, and I did that so that GMs could use the character in the maximum possible number of scenarios. Well, you can use her here, you can use her there. She's not locked into this like nope. Only if she's in this city and under these conditions, at during the holidays, will she actually act like this? It's like no. Leave her open-ended so that GMs can exploit her as a useful NPC whenever they need her as a character.
Another thing that I will add, and this is something that I've ran into GMing, and my friend Matt. Don't create a character purely for the sake of your own vices. So one of the players that we had, he had a character that was essentially a dragonborn who could be a male or female due to certain circumstances. So in a way, you sit back and you go, okay, so we have a character like Ramna, who has the issue of he turns male or female. But the problem is that this character already wanted, it was the mage character that could change sexes, that could do these things, that would be falling into debauchery and all these stuff. And it gets to a point where, well, you as the GM, do you think you would have fun running that character? And at the same time, you're also dealing with a player who's designed a character that is almost to a point the antithesis of what every other person is trying to do during the adventure. And this is where it's important that you as players or as the game master need to talk to each other. You want to have fun. You want to have a great time. You want to make a character that is transgender, hermaphrodite, any of these things, a changeling who can change sexes whenever they want to. There is nothing wrong with that, but don't do it just for the sake of, I'm going to make a character that's so disgusting that does things. It's going to be great. Make a character that will fit with the setting or that you can play well and make them fit into the setting.
And the rest of the player characters are going to be comfortable with, because if you play a character that basically bugs the heck out of folks,
It's a good way to make enemies.
And after a while, you're not going to get invited to games.
A good video game actually, so everybody knows about Nier Automata. There's a game called Nier. Now what you find out is in Nier, I'm going to say Nier for now because it's N-I-E-R. I want that E-R to be sounded out. Is that there's a female character who, as you adventure on, you find out that she was hit with a curse that made her a hermaphrodite. The thing about it is that she feels it's a disgraceful thing that happened to a warrior such as herself. So essentially, it's the idea of an Amazon that now has to deal with the fact that they have man parts. And for her and her culture, she had to deal with what she knows. If she returned back to her people, they would look upon her with disgust. Well, let's call it that. Lego, thank you for a lot of your questions. But yeah, so quickly ending it, when you design a character, it's not only does it got to be fun for you, but allow it to be a character that will be fun also for the setting, because the GM doesn't get to sit in and actually play a character. You have to remember that. The GM writes the story background and allows you to travel through that world that they've got. So it's got to be fun for them as well.
Or else they're not going to want GM some point in the future.
Oh yeah, and I've seen a couple GM burnouts happen like that, which is a shame.
Speaking as a GM that burned out once, it ain't pretty.
Yep.
Nope. Well, I mean, one of the things going into it, which let's see, just double check. There's another break and then the continuation, right?
Correct.
All right. So
we have another break in 20 minutes.
Yeah.
All right. So at least for some who are still here, and these will be posted later, my friend Zeloff, who also goes by GW Stoop, his link will also be up on the Ronin RPG. He's officially opened up commissions. He's a great artist. He's done some amazing art of NPCs, which many of you coming to BabsCon who will be able to sit in on the games for Friday and Saturday. I'm going to see about running at least 2 games if I can. And so for folks who are able to join in on the games, you'll get to meet a couple of the NPCs he's drawn. And again, he's someone who only gets like the 2 or 3 viewers, which is essentially him, myself, and Nate Dogg, and we want to see, you know, again, it's kind of like with Baron. I want to see artists who are really good, who are really nice and respectful in their streams, to be able to get more and more viewers. He's officially looking at opening up commissions, and I definitely hope he starts, you know, he starts doing more. I'll be nice. I'll show a little sneak peek of one of the generics. So this is one of the Falconograd military characters. Oh, there we are, get a little shadow. So this is one of the Talons, and the idea behind this character is we're looking at one of just the common generic soldier NPCs, and you'll definitely get a bit of a bigger picture after the break. But that's an example of just some of the art he's done. And oh, you know what? We're gonna be nice here. We're gonna really show that piece off. And so this is one of the Falconograd soldiers that work as the Talons for one of the major NPCs who you have to confront. A little history is that, yeah, Falconograd is very much based on looking at the Russian culture. Just because for me, I actually do kind of always enjoyed the, Russia. I've always liked, Russia comes in for Dos Vidania, then vodka for celebration, which, as a GM, when I'm given the chance, I really do love trying to liven it up with accents for characters. Having Jesfi for a French character who wants to just go on the River Rhine and have you join him. Or you end up having the Russian character who wants to say, Dos Vodonia, welcome to Russia, my friend, and now goodbye, and pulls out a gun and shoots you.
Everybody likes NPC with big, fat Russian accents way down deep in jowls.
Mm-hmm. Which, having a couple of couple Georgians and actual Russians where I work at a translation center, I've learned that not everybody sits there and talks with heavy Russian accent. But I'm also glad that there are some who do. One of my friends, Mike, that I got to know was one of our Russian translators, and Mike was a really good guy, but he had Russian, and it kind of sounded like Slav.
Russia depends on what type of Russian, whether or not you are Slav. Not all Russians are Slavs.
Russia is a big place too.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's like an example for folks. Patina. Patina has basically. She was originally born in Provence, France, and her parents, when actually change his tail. His tail's going the wrong way. When she was about 7 years old, her parents moved from Provence, France, to New Orleans. So she has a New Orleans accent, along with a French accent. She can speak French very, very well.
Dorian, you have a good night, and have a safe drive dropping off the little one to school.
Good night, Mr. Dorian.
Mm-hmm.
7 pages, typeset like this. That's Garrett.
I do dig it. We do got to kind of include him. If anything, I definitely see him fitting with a Mafia world.
Well, again, it's where you can. One of the most the meanest things you can do to a GM is to say, read all of my characters' backstory for a campaign that's not your own, and but 7 pages.
Yep.
For me, generally, for me, honestly, I actually don't mind
If
having good
you-
stories that I can get to read.
If you get,
you can cut it into little squares when you're in the bathroom done reading it.
yeah, and also
It'll
it
be
comes
my Reader's Digest.
well,
There you go.
It comes down to a matter too of if you've got 7 pages of something worth saying, that's one thing. It's when it's like you could have cut this down to 1.5.
Yeah.
Sometimes summarization does work. Well, I mean, take an example of one of the NPCs that one of the players submitted to me. I did have to tone things back because as much as there may be creepy stuff, there are certain things where I'm like, okay, this is going a little too far because they had a certain character and their story behind this character was, oh, well, they are no longer able to enjoy the life of luxury and feeling the warmth of flesh. So this character, and it went a little deep, and I went, okay, I understand. We need to not remove that, but we need to change the language behind it. It is a motivation of the character. The character is motivated by they kind of want to know what living again feels like because this was taken away from them. So it was a character that became an automaton. So after changing things about, you kind of have a tragic character that has lost what it means to know what living felt like, and they want that back. As
Right.
opposed to just, well, this is a character and this is what they want. It's like, well, that sounds just a little too blunt.
And the other thing about NPC characters is that they have to drive a story forward.
Mm-hmm.
NPC characters will tend to not change and have story arcs the way that player characters do. That's the player character's job.
Mm-hmm.
NPCs have to have the ability to drive a story, to get in, do what they need to do, get out. I mean, they can be recurring, but again, they are supporting characters. They are not the lead characters. And that can be a trap.
Okay. If you're referring, when you're going back to saying about creating patina, if you're referring to
He didn't create Patina.
yeah,
Patina created him.
yeah. If
In
you're-
Soviet Russia, Patina created you.
yes. For her, for the game, I went back and I tweaked it and I massaged some little details, but that was for Patina, the NPC in Roan. For Patina, the character that most of you folks all know and have seen on the stream here, on Twitter, on DeviantArt, on Picardo, and Patreon, and FA, that character just basically kind of sprung into my head, and she's done all of her own creating.
Yeah, the camera was fixing to pan off, and she went, no.
She was one of the few characters I created for a story. She was supposed to just exist long enough to walk on camera, deliver some lines, collect her paycheck, and punch out. And that lasted about 20 seconds when she effectively grabbed the camera in my head and said, I'm not going anywhere, I have things to say. Yep. And that was 1992, and she's never left.
People have seen her. So far, I haven't.
Yes.
I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing. Plans are happening. I don't like this.
Yeah, someone recently wrote me a note. Yeah, she showed up. I was at, having a dream, and I was in my living room, and the doorbell rang, and I opened the door, and there was no one there. And she said, hey, down here. And I looked, and there was this little 8.5-inch tall mouse standing on my doorstep, and behind her I could see a moving truck. She says, I need to bring my stuff in. Then I woke up.
Yeah. So what does a muse bring on her first date? A U-Haul.
Yeah. So I haven't heard any more back from that person on, so how much of the house did she take over? She's only 8.5 inches tall, got a 4,000 square foot house. She'll probably take about 1,500 square feet.
Which is proper.
Yeah.
Speaking of something else that is proper, we are getting to near the end of the of this session of this hour, so that means we have a duty to do.
Yes, we do.
And that duty is to say thank you to University Art, a high-end art supply store that keeps Barron supplied with supplies. How many more times can I say supplied? They have branches in Sacramento, Redwood City, and San Jose, California that feature a high-end framing shop, very good art supplies, very knowledgeable sales staff who are themselves artists and who are not on commission, so they will sell you the right thing, not the expensive thing. They have seminars, they have workshops, they have demonstrations, they have craft fairs. They got all kinds of stuff. And they're also, the San Jose store's right next to a really cool motorcycle store, so you can go see that stuff too. And we would like to say thank you to them for putting up with Barron for 20 years, for occasionally loaning us some of their employees to come on the show. And
they
be
still love
guest
me in the
artists.
building.
Exactly. Exactly. So thank you to University Art for doing all the stuff that you do for Barron and helping make all this possible.
Mm-hmm.
And viewers like you.
Yes.
Well, I figure at least
Yeah, you're done.
to answer my final bit. It's hard to say the most fleshed out character because honestly, a lot of the people, Baron, presented really well fleshed out characters. If you're asking who did I have fun with, then it's kind of hard to say. I can't figure if I had fun with Squint Westwood, the general of the Roan military, for the army, or the Navy commander Mae West, which is a flotation device named after the actress Mae West, because they considered her to have quite the flotation devices.
Come up and float me sometime.
Are you is that a dachshund you have in your pocket, or are you just happy to see me? Yeah. Of course,
the Navy.
I have to admit, at some point, I kind of hope we can maybe figure out some way to use powder keg, um, Eclipse.
Oh yes, the characters that would have gone on for the interior art. I
Right.
believe,
Yeah. The bat pony, the unicorn, the spunky kelpie.
Well, actually, I have to see about making an adventure. You know what? That would be a fun. The RPG day.
Yeah,
Here's a little RPG book. This is Rowan, and here are the NPC characters.
yeah.
That will have to happen because they are some great characters.
Go ahead, make my breakfast.
Professor Footnote.
The zebra.
Yep.
The zebra professor. The helpful student unicorn. The
Yes.
plucky little kelpie.
Yeah. Magic was her name. Why? Yes, I am.
Mhm.
Yeah. Little. Yeah. What was it? Riptide.
Mm-hmm.
Riptide. You know, he had his baseball. He had a baseball bat, a pack of chewing gum, a pack of firecrackers, and
At the not rerun from Indiana Jones.
Jones.
kinda
Good night,
dude.
Sarah.
Have a good night, Sarah, and thank you for joining us.
That's the reason why this line lead's been getting all funky. That lead was about ready to fall out. You can tell the mechanical pencil when the lead's getting too short and the collar can't really hold it. The lead will start, for lack of better, you can feel it turning. Oh yeah, that's
Free
much
spinning,
better.
yeah.
Free spinning, and it starts retracting up and down in the body, so it makes it harder to get your lines dark the way you want them.
So Mighty Muffins wants to know how your quote bat ponies unquote are incorporated into the game as it stands today.
All right, so bat ponies or nocturnes, while many of them can function during the daylight and live out in the light, much of them are actually bigger with the nightlife. And the benefit of a lot of the nocturnes is that a couple of the NPCs I have been wanting to write up are ones who are, a couple of the fashion industry, home run hitters. They're nocturnes. What's the benefit? Well, you're asleep during the day and you work at night. And for the most part, most people don't know that's you designing the clothing, meaning you don't have paparazzi hanging outside your house unless they're also nocturnes. But for the most part, the nightlife offers a lot of partying, but also offers a lot of solitude, which kind of fits in with the thematics of Rowan itself. It doesn't so much have the elements of harmony, but it does have the path of balance, the path of six, which is the idea that there is. It's not so much that there's just pure harmony to the extent of complete order, because you need a little chaos. For them, it's the idea that you have passion, which can also be anger. You have solitude, which can also lead to a depression, and so on and so forth. See, 1, 2, 3, May West. And wait a minute, they're turning around. They're going to strafe up. Let's see, alert 1, you are cleared on. Oh, okay, folks are having a little bit of a fun chat in there.
Okay.
But yeah, so for you Mighty Muffins, when it comes to the bat ponies or the nocturnes, the thing is that now this is the big change that kind of had a lot of people asking me why, is that in the world of Rowan itself, all ponies actually do eat meat. And the biggest thing with it is that taking kind of a little bit is on a real evolutionary standard. When you start taking extraordinarily much more intelligent species, they become, it's not that they're strictly meat eaters, they're more omnivorous. There's more of a variety to their diet.
They have to basically be able to have the intelligence. They have to be able to feed the brain with enough calories and enough energy
a
to be able
lot of the carbohydrates
and build.
such.
Then protein is a great place to get. And one of the places you get lots of protein is from other things that move around.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember
or-
at one time someone on their Tumblr for Equestria had a funny bit where they're showing the Royal Guard, and they had to learn how to eat meat. And the reason is the character said, well, if a cart of hay fed a horse for a day, or for a week, you move 100,000 soldiers, you cannot move that much hay to supplement the dietary needs. But with a cart of meat, those soldiers could be supplemented for quite a while. And,
it's all about
and I
calorie
thought,
density.
you know what, that is actually pretty true because, you know, to that end, I did like it, and I'd always thought of like, you know what, I just like the idea that you have kelpies, because honestly, the Irish kelpie, though in the book they're good guys, realistically, kelpies were a pretty nasty fey creature to run into. Their body, when touched, would become something like tar, and they would drag unfortunate humans to the bottom of lakes and water, just anything like a big pool of water. They'll
Drown 'em.
drag you to the bottom, drown you, and eat you. Well, kelpies in Rowan aren't that mean.
No. Well, it's like, you know, it's going to be coming up in my quest for Dreamscape when we go to Fort Lauderdale because it's a coastal town. And actually, when we're in Baltimore and some other locations, the ponies eat a lot more fish. And, you know, lots more fish.
In
And
Equestria, we do see Rarity
her
cook eggs.
Yeah,
She cooked eggs for Sweetie Belle's breakfast.
and we see her dad fishing.
And
Yes.
What in the heck is Applejack keeping pigs for?
Mushrooms.
Yeah, they say. Yeah, that's what Lauren Faust sort of said. Oh, they like truffles.
Yeah.
A lot.
Yeah.
Yeah, like, it was just a set piece with a farm, you know, and it's like, oh,
Hay
wait,
bacon
what
strips.
are the implications to this? Oh,
Oopsies.
okay.
Yeah.
Well, here's also the other thing, Mighty
Because
Muffins. Here's the other thing, Mighty Muffins. Technically, in Equestria, the ponies of Equestria are eating foods that would poison a real horse.
Yep.
Because they do mints and they do a variety of spices that a horse would colic, and it would actually kill a horse.
Well, besides the fact, horses in Equestria can vomit, which real horses cannot do. All right, we're at 8:28. Why don't we switch that camera out? I got this paratrooper, or parachute is more or less done. So that's 3 pieces down.
3 down and 1 to go.
Yep. Yeah, well, I remember watching cows eat leftover hot dogs from a barbecue.
I'm not sure how much I would count.
Pigs are
most,
cannibalistic.
Yeah.
Yeah, most hot dogs as meat anyway. I'm not sure what it is.
Well, they were Hebrew National.
Okay.
They were good stuff.
There's kosher pink slime.
Yeah. Okay, Webster, thank you for joining. I know, a lot of folks, I'm figuring the last hour, it's getting late. People got to get to work. But we were going to do the stream tonight because we're not going to be doing it during the weekend. So I want to get you folks, get some of your art fixed.
Get your fix, yeah.
So we're going to go take a $5, and then we'll be back for the last hour.
Don't worry, Mighty Muffins, we're here as well.
Yay.
See you guys in 5.
And we are back for the last hour.
Hey, thank you for sticking with this.
Yeah.
Thank you for listening to me ramble off.
You guys are all
constantly.
sticky. Yeah. What are bricks usually made of? Wishes and political dissidents.
We are at DEF CON 4.
Yeah.
Indeed.
All
Have
right.
ponies eaten tomatoes, potatoes, can horses? The problem with horses and tomatoes is that it does upset their stomachs. Don't let them into your garden because tomato plants are members of the belladonna family, and the leaves will do them in.
Yeah. And potatoes, potatoes are used as supplements for food for horses, if I remember correctly.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Now, no. Ponies in Equestria can eat all kinds of stuff. Magical talking ponies can do all kinds of stuff. Okay. Well, clearly you're rambling. It's interesting since it's all about Roan.
Well, as I said, hopefully I'm able to start collecting folks when I do Picardo streams of, it's going to be playing video games, but definitely it's going to, what I'd like to share is the experiences I've had as a game developer, not just with Rowan, but when I was working government contracting, I've done simulations development. I've also been able to work in Activision. I was up in Eden Prairie in Minnesota, which is one of the subsidiaries called Activision Value. It was a lot of kid games, but they also did a lot of the major games like Rome Total War was one of their big hits. And that was a lot of fun to sit through, to talk with the developers. And a lot of this stuff is, so the hardest part for anyone trying to get into games. You don't have someone you can talk to, or you get the generic, well, you need 4 years in such and such. Well, how do I get those 4 years? Well, you join a video game company. Can I join yours? Well, no, you don't have 4 years. And then you just want to take a rock and hit them with it really hard.
Everybody wants the other guy to pay for the training.
Yeah. The other thing too, I was thinking that as far as videos might be something to consider. Something like DM Web does with their
WebDM,
WebDM with their things like this is the Ranger. This is this. Go ahead and say, we're going to do a 10-minute video and we're going to talk about nocturnes and do a little thing about that.
You know, I would love to do that.
Do like 8-minute video on. We're going to talk about Radivarians. We're going to talk about this. Just some facet, and then just little bite-sized chunks so people can gain more awareness and a sense of what is this world really like.
Build a body of work.
Exactly.
Actually, one of the other things I would like to start trying to set as a schedule is to be able to offer myself as a GM for players to sit down either through a Discord or through Skype. And whether it's doing just all vocal or utilizing something like Roll20, I would like to be able to just, allow people to enjoy a one-shot adventure, bring your characters in, have a good adventure. I definitely know that at the moment, I couldn't really commit to something like a full campaign.
No.
But offering myself as just one-shot GMs, either for the fun of joining or even just learning new things, or at the same time, teaching me something new. Because I'll say this, why do I drop Matt Mercer from Critical Role? Because he does teach me something new. So does the players he has. Why do I talk to Matt? I am not the end-all be-all. Even with Roan itself, I've had Cadwin, I've had other people go, hey, maybe an errata, maybe a little balance here, or in your next game, maybe you should add something like this. This would be really cool.
The more eyeballs and brains you can have facing the problem, the more cases of, well, what about this?
I might even, I might not even see something, which is absolutely why I had the help of one of your housemates, the James.
Yeah, Rindis.
Because I will certainly say this with Rindis, he really helped me out when it came to catching as many grammar and spelling errors that I had, because I do know that I make a lot of them, but I try my best to not make them. I mean,
No, so I've been dungeon mastering literally as long as Dungeons and Dragons has existed. All the way back to the Blue Book edition. Which came out right after it was the Chainmail supplement. We're talking 1977. And
that was back when those cons started in his basement.
Yeah, exactly. This was actually the first D&D books. Were the Blue Book was not written by Gary Gygax. It was written by a Dr. Holmes. And again, I've got 40 years of game mastering experience. I still have a lot to learn.
Yeah. Well, also too, it's like kind of interesting, just how bringing different people to the table can get different ideas. Of course, guys, I've gone back and forth on a World of Roan. Roan, a World of War, and we've talked about things, and it's interesting how he will come at something and say, well, I'm thinking in terms of this and this, and I'll go, okay, and I'm approaching it from a very different, often, viewpoint, saying, well, what about these facts? And I'll go, oh, hey, I hadn't thought about that.
Like
then
throwing it out there, I might say the Vietnam War, and he might go, well, what about the Balkans? I'm like, it had some things I like in there.
Yeah, and like we went back and forth on why do they have tanks if you don't have a world war? One, to basically have your tanks come into existence. Right. So, and then he'll feed. I'll go, oh, well, what about this? And then sometimes we'll mention something in Cared One. Or hey, well, have you ever considered this? And it's like, oh yeah, we need to consider that little detail. So it's a fascinating thing. You just have to keep an open mind. The trick is. One of the hardest things about doing design like this is keeping an open mind, but at the same time saying we have an objective and we have a focus that we want. We don't want that to wander off course.
And you're not necessarily trying to, be quote realistic, because you're not necessarily trying to recreate reality.
And the other thing too is having to say no to good ideas. Sometimes it's like
you do need to know when to stop.
Yeah, it's like
kill your precious.
Yeah, it's like, this is a great idea. This is not the game for it, or not, at least not for this. Maybe a supplement will consider this, but it just doesn't work for this world. I'm sorry.
Hey, Colonel.
No.
Hey, Colonel.
Hey, Colonel. You.
I mean, taking on top of that, actually, this is something I was kind of flattered by when David, creator of Pony Pathfinder, did bring this, because he talked about when it came to Pony Pathfinder, he had everything he already needed. For a lot of it, he just merely needed to transfer and just add the flowery text, give the background, give what the world is, some of the NPCs. One of the things he told me though, he's like, you actually sat back and while you were given the Ubiquity system, I still kind of almost rewrote the entire system and everything that goes into the Rowan book, from stats to everything else. I had nowhere that I could pull it from. I wrote it down myself. One of the things that isn't even in the Hollowed Earth Expedition, the Ubiquity rules, is the use of armor penetration and damage reduction. That was something I had to sit down and balance, as well as the use of structural points, which is the difference between a flak jacket and tank armor.
All right. Well, let's that camera around. Let's get a little more artwork done here during this last hour.
Hey,
And so
gives the
Mr.
pleading eyes. Mighty Muffins asked, so let's get in on that. Baron, what is the best concept you've given to Clear for Rowan that got thrown into the game? And Clear, best idea thrown at Baron for Rowan. And Cadwin, Care.
Caredwin.
Boy, you got a lot of nicknames going with that one name. Your best idea thrown in for Rowan.
Well, I didn't have so many ideas thrown in for for Roan. Just general discussions of of balance and game flow, and again just a few concerns about the ubiquity system. My main duty on Roan frankly has been cheerleader.
And you've been awesome.
Well, also too, the thing that you've done on several occasions is that's all really good and great. Now, here's how it falls apart in a million pieces, business-wise.
Yeah.
You have the best idea in the world, but if you don't implement it correctly, it's all going to be sadness and heartache at the end.
The Silicon Valley startup, yeah.
Yeah. So, the one thing that Carolyn has been very, very helpful on is when we're all going, we've got this amazing idea in our head. And then he goes, that's really great. Now how are you going to pay the bills? And we go,
Yes.
fine. It's like when your parents go, you can't.
I'm a wet blanket.
Your parents go, tell you something, and you go, ugh. But then you stop and you think about it and you go, wow, thanks for telling me that, because if we hadn't had that little bucket of ice water reality, we probably would have overextended ourselves and done something really stupid, and then it would have been, Rowan would have been this heartache and bad experience for us. Instead, we avoided some real big pitfalls in spots, and that's worth something.
And probably the answer is always soybeans.
Yeah.
Well, I would also say this. I've been tempted now by a veggie burger that is going to be at the con, cooked by one of them there, because everybody who's eaten it has said, this thing is delicious. Now I got to try one.
Because
Is that the portobello patty?
No, it's
They do their own. It is a fried kind of vegetable into a burger, but the difference is they said, we're not trying to make a hamburger. We're just, it looks
You're
like
not
a
trying to
hamburger, but
reproduce
we're
a
making
hamburger,
this.
Yeah,
Yes.
we're just gonna make something that tastes good. They said we're not gonna try faking meat. We're not gonna try making it taste like beef or anything. It just tastes good. You're gonna like this, and it is. It's good.
See, one question Generic drops, and I do think this is a good one. He does ask between myself and Caredwin is what is the general minimum age to responsibly play tabletop RPGs? That is a bit difficult because I've sat in at tabletop games like at places like Gen Con, which is a huge gathering in Indianapolis, which was cool because I was there when they were going to be having the Super Bowl, and I got to see the pony commercial of them all cheering for their favorite ponies. But anyhow, I've seen kids playing RPG games just fine.
Yeah.
Part of it is a little bit of the exposure. In a way, I think that I saw good parents introducing kids to good role playing.
Actually, for me, it's not a matter of age; it's a matter of maturity.
Exactly. I've seen some pretty mature players where I'm like, not mature. I've seen old players that I'm like, you need to step out of this game, man. You need to stop acting like everything is yours, and that, take out the golden pacifier.
Yeah.
Yep. I think it's actually pretty simple. There's two answers to that question. One is it's more about the game master than the players. In that, if it's young kids, the game master should be their parents, and they should introduce kids to it as soon as the second half of the answer. Kids know both good sportsmanship, how to take a loss, how to deal with your character just got hit, your character just got knocked out, because you don't say kill early, and how to tell reality from fantasy.
Mm-hmm.
So as soon as your kid is old enough to really understand the difference between what they see on television or in the movies versus reality, as soon as they stop believing that TV and movies are real, And as soon as they're good sports, they're ready.
Mm-hmm.
If you, as a parent, then can get into the spirit of things, and it's a great way to teach, kids, good sportsmanship and cooperation with others, because RPGs are cooperative. Have 6, 7, 8-year-old
Creativity too.
Mm-hmm.
There is an ultra simplified version of the D20 system called No Thanks Evil that is designed for single-digit age kids.
Mm-hmm.
And again, your characters aren't killed; they're knocked out. That kind of thing.
Kind of like Teenagers from Outer Space, we just take bonk.
Yeah, and and of course hell, My Little Pony has an official pony RPG which by the way is not a bad game. I own a copy. Been through it. It is a completely playable RPG. It's a simplified system,
I
but it
do
works
feel
well.
for its target audience, it could have been simple just a little bit more on certain mechanics.
Yes, but that's up to the game master to deal with. Again, so I would say, depending on the kid, anywhere from 6 to 10.
Mm-hmm.
Younger than that, there's going to
I mean,
be
I will say this.
issues and-
Very, very important thing that has, I as an 80s kid playing a Nintendo. Nintendo games introduced me to the concept of losing and death pretty early on. And you look at the growth of the video game market today and how far it's entered kids into those things that technically you think that a kid shouldn't be knowing about this stuff until until, oh no, the goldfish died. How do we explain it? Oh, well, he was taken away by the stork. Or,
the other thing to remember is that historically, until extraordinarily recently in human history, kids were introduced to death as soon as they were old enough to understand.
Especially when the age of the living age was, well, you might live to 30.
Yeah, and when your brother or your sister had a 50% chance of making it to age 6, you had a 50% chance of making it to age 6.
But
Jeff like says, I'll introduce my kids to Dark Souls.
Perfect. But by the way, sorry about that, Cat's Paw. About the table's kind of full of stuff and everything because we're staging for going up to the con tomorrow. Sorry about that.
No, thank you, evil.com. Yeah, there it is.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, one thing I would like to hit into.
Yeah, listen. That is called a request for a plug for for a charity auction item.
Yes.
We just had a wandering dusty cat just appeared, so I'm going to switch briefly to this camera right
Here.
here. There we go. Ah! There we go. I'm going to say okay. Yeah, there we go. This goes around here. This goes around here. You're on a short leash, Mr. Dusty.
Short leash, guys.
Actually, I want to answer a real quick thing here about Hey Burgers. Okay, this is in my Quest of Dreamscape. This is not canon. As Cat's Paw says, Hey Fries in my world are very, very crispy fried potatoes. Hey Burgers are basically like hash brown patties that are cooked up, and then they're usually served with like a fried egg on top with like grilled onions and maybe like some tomato or something like that, and some cheese. Anyway,
Hi, guys. Where's the camera? There you are.
Yep,
There's the
sitting
camera.
right
I was
over
hiding
here.
behind Princess Celestia because she got a... But anyway, yes.
Hello,
So,
my little ponies.
This is the last plug. The last plug for the guitar. So, beautiful.
Look at that beautiful thing.
Look at that beautiful thing up there. Yes. So, that will be at BabsCon. Starting, I'm going up tomorrow. I don't know about anybody else.
we're
I'm gonna be
going
there
up tomorrow. We're going up tomorrow.
Yes, so that'll be in the hands of BabsCon tomorrow evening. So it'll be on display. And as he showed you, the case that I made to go with it. With the Rain Boom's name and the logos and everything. It's got Rainbow Dash's logo on it. Along with the guitar, you will also get the Rainbow Dash guitar strap to go with her. So all you out-of-towners who think you can't get it home, well, guess what? You have a flight case. So you can take it home on the plane. So don't keep that from making you bid on this wonderful piece of art
That you built.
that I built.
And a good supportive cause, too.
It's
Mhm.
for a great cause, guitars, not guns. We all know where that's going these days.
So we got that going. I'm going to be the Lyra piece that I worked
Yes.
live on the stream here a few months ago. That's going to be in the charity auction.
Yes, it will.
Yes, there's going to be some really great stuff at the BabsCon auction this year.
Yep, really
And
great
there's
stuff.
an awesome, there is an awesome plate.
Yay! Look at that baby.
Mm-hmm.
Reshape, reformed by me, painted by me 5 times. Yes. Yes, you will find, if you are going to be at BabsCon, you will find this over at the area where they'll be showing off all of the charity auction stuff. I will be at my dealer's table, unless I am at Hooves Lines anyway. I will also be on Brony's Your Act panel, and I will be at the charity, the community guest. I believe it's a luncheon or something, midday Saturday. And
When is? Do you know when the auction is?
auction is Saturday afternoon, I think. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I have to double check.
Smile at the audience in the say in the reflection of the.
Yes.
Let's see if we can get this right here.
Look at that beautiful
Angle,
shine.
angle.
Yes.
And there's that, and where's Wobbert? There's Wobbert.
Yeah, Frank says it looks good, Dusty.
Awesome. And we're not done making guitars, guys. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll make another one for next year.
There you are. Wave at the audience.
Wave at the audience, yay!
Yeah.
Yes.
You can see.
Reflection in that shine.
There we go. Shine on,
Come on,
you
you
crazy
rarity.
rarity.
Yes. Put that.
Bye bye, Mr. Guitar. I will miss
Yes,
you.
you will miss. Yeah, he will miss it because
You play it enough.
Yes, he loves this thing. He will play it when he comes home from work every day, so he can get his fingers on it.
Yeah.
Yes.
I've marked it.
Yes.
It's my territory.
So steal it from him at the auction.
It's got Caradwin jeans all over
I'm
it.
gonna get one tomorrow. Yes. So actually, I'm gonna get a TSA lock to go with this thing, so you don't have to worry about getting a lock for it. I'm gonna pick that up tomorrow. So, on my way north. So I think I'll be there probably somewhere between 3 and 4.
That's one more thing about showing up
That's basically when the traffic in the Bay Area is basically the least.
and going in that direction. More importantly, you show up. You know, the hotel rooms usually aren't available till that time,
Yeah, they aren't
anyways.
available 3 or 4 anyway. So, do the last of the packing in the morning to make sure that everything's in the truck. Make one more ride through, get TSA lock on the way out of town.
And with any luck, they'll have the dealer's room, the vendor's hall set, so we can actually do some SEP tomorrow.
I know. I got all kinds of stuff to do. Yes. All kinds of stuff. I have all my basic stuff. I got new buttons. I got some new pieces of art that are going to be there for artist signatures. But I also have a
Hey, glad you
special-
can make it.
Who?
Oh, I'm not gonna know how to pronounce that. Mr. Relevant.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Mr. Irrelevant. Yeah.
Mr. Relevant. Mr. Relevant. Welcome to the stream.
Yes.
Oh.
Hi, buddy.
Yeah.
Welcome to the stream. Yeah, so I also have a special surprise thing that I'll be selling at BabsCon this year, which I'm not telling anything about yet. So you just have to show up and see what it is.
Oh, and I want to do one last little plug. I don't know, Cat's Paw, if you can put up a link for this. I know you're eating your dinner and everything like that, so I can understand if the answer is no. But we are coming up on the very end of the voting for the Ursa Major Award.
Yes.
And I do have a piece of artwork that's actually up for Best Illustration.
Yes. Ursa Major Awards.
Yes.
Please go and
Vote.
vote for that man and his artwork.
Yeah.
Because it's awesome.
Yeah. It's Goldford's not in the chat tonight. Not surprising. He's probably on the work and everything
Yeah,
like that.
probably work.
I mean, this is Wednesday night,
Mm-hmm.
or it's Thursday for him now.
Mm-hmm.
And
all my Japanese brony friends are probably on airplanes right about now.
oh, how many are coming over? Just out of curiosity.
Geez, the last I checked, it's like the regular gang, which is 5, and then a couple of the girls are coming this time.
Oh,
A couple of the girls that dress up as the Dazzlings are going to be here.
you kind of need to meet some of them.
Yeah, they're going to be awesome. So, yeah, let's see. Daisy Main's coming, the one who does all of the sculpting.
Mm-hmm.
Some of his artwork. If you don't know Daisy Main, go check it out on DeviantArt. He's the one who does all of the sculpting. He also does some regular art. He cosplays as Soren. He'll probably have his cosplay with him. Doesn't speak a lick of English, but is a wonderful artist, and you should follow him because I think me and him are going to collab on something for BronyCon charity auction. I need to
Coolness.
talk to him this weekend about it. So yeah, it's gonna be awesome. I don't know where Lance went, so I guess I'm stuck.
Hey, Warskunk.
Yes.
Hello.
Hey, War Skunk.
Welcome to the stream.
So we're going to go back to drawing. Scene. There we go. And I'm going to get out of here. So
With a cookie.
with a cookie. Cookie, because dinner's coming soon.
I've been
So-
bribed.
The cookie.
I'm getting
Hey,
out of
Actually,
here.
Baron,
And you
because
guys
it's
let
much
me know
better
if it's
lighting,
great.
I think we will present the drawings of the NPC characters coming in for the adventure
Uh-huh.
on yours. This is from my friend Jeffrey Stoop. Again, you will have a connection to this guy, and as I said, this is another artist. Now you're getting some of the antagonists as well as the protagonists supporting NPC characters, such as we have Volga River, a part of Falconagra. He is Volga, and he is the Malthir. We also have Crimea River, his sister, leader of the Black Talons. She's the last thing you want to see.
Mm-hmm.
Generic trooper, at a sitting there as a portrait, more of a landscape. We have Master Sergeant Angel Eyes, and this is kind of pulling off of the character Angel Eyes from The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly.
Mm-hmm. And we have Madame Pedigree.
Madame Pedigree of the Canadian, the Doghouse, which is the Canadians' version of essentially the Secret Service, the CIA.
Here's a question for you.
Yes.
Canadians,
Mm-hmm.
two-legged walkers or four-legged walkers?
They are comfortable with both.
Okay.
In a way, they are also able to flex and bend their paws for grasping and collecting things.
Okay. All right. I just wanted to. Now, to answer Mighty Muffin's question, dinner tonight, in fact, Carolyn just went down to go put in the oven, is lasagna. We have lasagna cooking, and in about an hour and a half, we are going to have lasagna.
Actually, in about 40 minutes.
Yay! Awesome.
Lasagna and asparagus.
Coolness. Sauteed or baked?
The asparagus is going to saute it in butter.
Coolness.
We'll steam it until it's almost ready, and then quickly saute it in butter, garlic, salt, and pepper.
Yep, that's the way to do it. And maybe squeeze the lemon juice. So I'm doing a
I'm
nocturne
ready
here.
for this.
I'm doing a nocturne pony here.
Reminds me, I need to open the wine so it can breathe.
Ooh. Yes, we want to make sure our wine breathes. Don't want our wine asphyxiating. So yes, I'm doing a nocturne pony here. For some of those folks, oh, is that sundown? No, this is not sundown. People get to see sundown pretty soon. She's going to make another appearance in my Quest for Dreamscape. Of course, we're getting to this point in the Dreamscape where a whole lot of things are hopping from different locations, and I get like this camera crew thing where it's like, now we're following this group for a while, and now we're back to this group, and it's like, okay, this is kind of interesting.
So, seeing that we're at the final hour, taking BabsCon. Me and Baron are going to be there Thursday, and hopefully they will allow us to do a pre-setup, or hopefully, I'm looking forward to entrances going smoothly.
For everybody for registration this
certainly.
year.
Now with Friday we're looking at holding down the fort at the booth, and pushing art, pushing the books,
Prints.
and the prints. And once that is complete, I want to see about running 1, 2, maybe up to 3 games Friday as well as Saturday. And Saturday is going to be the same thing. We'll run until they say, hey guys, take a break for the night. You're going to be ready for Sunday. Sunday is going to be a little different because we do have to deal with excuse me.
The panel.
We do have to deal with the panel, and the panel is early. At the same time, it is a case of so what's going to make the panel difficult for us for Sunday is we are also talking about the same time where we do understand there are a lot of people who will be checking out, or they will probably already have to be rushing out to catch their plane because not everybody has the benefit of always being able to have the planes on Monday.
Yep. And also too, we're going on Sunday. We have we'll do a breakdown of the vendors hall too, so we have that thing to deal with. Now, I if you're running really really late in the evening, I may have to say, okay, I can't be there for all the games, but I am going to try and do for several of the games like I did last year. because I'm going to try and sit in on them. I'm not going to play a character. What I'm going to maybe do is
Have to have you at least join one, so I know what kind of player you are.
Have doing drawings of people, the busts of people's characters, basically, like I did last year. Because people really seem to have enjoyed that. It seemed to help them connect with their characters and everything. Of course, now when they have completed NPCs, that makes it a lot easier. Just have a sheet and go, here you go, here's your character. Go down. But especially if anyone shows up with a pre-made character, if I can, if I'm there, if I don't have other obligations like commissions or something like that, by which I will be taking table commissions at the convention.
Mm-hmm. And he has lots of art he's done throughout that he's going to be pushing.
I'm going to have over 250 pieces of artwork for sale at the convention, ranging from $10 up to $60, and then I'm going to also have prints at the table too. So if you're interested, it's going to be there.
Mm-hmm. Now, on the side of adventures, one of the things I'm gonna be meeting with Late Customer. Many of you folks will know him by his art. Late Customer actually did a pretty tremendous adventure. Now, the only thing that's going to need is artwork, which pretty much Late Customer is a fantastic artist. So I was like, dude, I'm totally gonna see about getting you to at least do as much art for this as possible. Because on top of his being able to do all the work that he's got for commissions as well as real life, because for those who's kept up with his Twitter, he not too long ago he got wedded to White Diamond.
I was there.
Which again, if they
artist.
just happen to be hearing us, big congratulations to the both of them.
Yeah, or something means like have White Diamond do some of the artwork.
Now the biggest hope is if I can get a couple of those voice actors to join in on the game, I would be all for it. But aside from that, the biggest focus for the game is keeping a short adventure, and really, I always aim for did you have fun? And that's really what I want. To the point that even though I know my rules for Rowan, there are times where I will actually allow certain instances of generally you can't do that, but what I have is the rule of cool. And the idea behind that is if it's a moment where like, you know what, normally you couldn't do it, but I'm going to let you do it because this moment, it would feel pretty bad if you went through all this and missed a shot. Mm-hmm. You get the shot.
Yeah, this goes. And of course, that's also one of the things why you can use the style points too. So going,
exactly.
Oh, great. Oh, I didn't get enough dice. I want to use these 2 style points. I want to say I made the shot, because that would be the cool epic moment when all the heroes could turn around, walk away from the explosion in slow motion.
Mm-hmm. I didn't actually, on talking about games from before, when people are talking about making games that are easier for younger people to play, I did actually have the idea of something of a silly game where you create foals and fillies, little colts and fillies, and the joke I had behind it was titling it, Rowan, poor unfortunate foals.
I still like the idea of a board game where basically you're trying to get through the night without the monster in the closet getting to you.
But that definitely is a huge undertaking, and especially coming to the board gaming market.
Yeah, which is very competitive, and there's a lot of good games out there. But take a look at Betrayal on House on the Hill.
Yeah,
that was the problem, because I own it and the Betrayal at Baldur's Gate, and the thing is that it has way too many similarities. Even though I did work in a lot of differences. The problem is there's still enough that people will continue to mistake it as, it's just Betrayal with ponies. Which is always the hard part when you're trying to reach a bigger market in some cases, because unfortunately, I do see too many people where they just go, well, this guy does amazing artwork. Oh, he's got ponies. Well, I don't care now. It's like, whoa, hey, you said he had amazing art.
Yeah.
Come back.
Yeah, I had someone this week with the design drawing I had for Celeste going, you do amazing art. Too bad you got ponies, because that kind of ruins it. I'm going, it's not amazing art to you then. Why are you even here watching my stuff if this is all being ruined by ponies? I mean, the door's over there.
Yeah, let it hit you on the way out.
Yeah, you're not locked to your chair. It isn't like the Clockwork Orange. I'm not like prying your eyelids open and putting eye drops in there so you have to watch my stuff.
Against like society.
Yeah.
Do you mean to build a score?
And to think, Malcolm McDowell in that scene, they accidentally scratched his eye.
Yep.
Yep, and he kept
And
going.
he still had to sit there for it all.
He takes so much abuse in that film.
Well, he also said, and people agreed with him, when you're in a film with Stanley Kubrick, expect him to put you through torture.
Oh yeah, like what he did to Sissy Spacek in Shining.
Yeah.
Shelley Duvall.
Oh, Shelley Duvall, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Oh, she did not like that movie.
Well, she was not told a lot of the stuff that Jack Nicholson was going to be doing.
Yeah.
Yeah, like she didn't know about the axe coming through the door. That scream when he came through the door, that was real because she wasn't told. It was like in the movie Alien
The chest buster.
with the
Nobody-
chest buster. The only person who knew that everybody knew that he was
Was
going
the
to go,
actor.
wah, 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 but the only person that knew that it was going to bust out of his chest and spray blood and guts everywhere was basically the special effects crew, the
Ridley
the
Scott.
unit director, and the actor. The other actors, Yaphet Kotto,
They freaked.
yeah, because they didn't know those were some real reactions because that was genuine.
Yeah.
Yeah. So feed my ego a little bit here, Cat's Paw. Last D&D session went well. A crowning moment of awesome. Tell me about what you thought was the crowning moment, so I can do more like it. Feed my ego. Feed my ego.
Well,
But just a side thing, the nicest thing anyone out there can do for their game master is to run a game and let the game master play.
Yes. That many game masters do wish they could sit in on some of those fun games.
now the only thing I will put out as a caveat for game masters, not aimed at you, Carried One, or even you, Clear Sky, is when you say, "Okay, I'll run," and then the GM shows up as a player character
And tries to run the game.
and then, no, you're doing that wrong. You should do that. No, you're not. You're not GMing tonight. Sit back, enjoy.
Yep.
Your
the game.
time is done.
Give me your keys.
Yeah, after the campaign, after the campaign is over, after the session is gone, if you want to give me some constructive feedback, that's fine. But right now, no.
I am the boss.
Yeah. Well, more funny, if you try to start intervening and say, "Well, you should try this," it's like, no, you're not enjoying yourself.
Yeah. There's actually a part of me that wants to write that adventure I briefly discussed with you completely and with all the details and all that stuff, and not tell you until you've played it. As a player. Maybe do that for next BabsCon. It's like, Robert, you're going to sit the fuck down, and I get to drop one F-bomb per show, and you're going to play. And I'm going to throw dice at you, and then you're going to go off the tracks, and put all my plans to shame. I'm going to have to improv for the rest of the game, because that's the game.
I did remember one game I was with a friend of mine, Michael Reed. He was running the campaign, and one of the things that happened was I met up with this noble, and the noble starts shouting and sputtering. So I turned around and I decked him. And the thing is that he had high numbers of like, yeah, you're not going to get this nat 20. And he just went, so the session
Hold
has
my beer.
Yeah, he's like, the session has to stop today because I need to figure out what just happened, and you've just changed things for the entire scenario. Because what I ended up doing was hitting him so hard that I knocked him out of the control of a succubus, which did make an interesting change to the entire story, because at that point we're like, oh, wait a second, something's going on.
Okay, now of course, as I have to agree with Cat's Paw. I mean, it was nice that we are now starting to gel as a team. That in combat we actually hit targets, and Cedric had had one very nice natural 20 with that goblin coming right up to him. And me basically, we visualized it as he threw his bow in the air, drew his long sword, in one swipe, lopped the head off of this goblin, resheathed the sword, and caught the bow. Okay, fine. That's great for stroking my ego and everything like that. But I think the little discussion down in the Hag's Burrow was probably one of the best. I was going, okay.
I enjoyed the heck out of that.
Yeah, well, I was going to okay, this is not necessarily what I've heard.
Yes, hags are known for being manipulative, say liars, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And again, the party got into the made their way into the hag's lair, and she was expecting to get cut down, and so I put on, well, come on in, dearies, have a nice cup of tea. They're gonna kill me. They're gonna kill me. Yes, I managed to talk them into not only not killing her, but doing something for her that she considered a favor.
Now,
And we'll see how it plays out, because that was the least likely of the outcomes that I had considered. It was an outcome I had considered, but I considered it the least probable. The most probable was talk to her, then kill her.
Now,
I think they're after me, Baron.
now,
They found you.
now, admittedly, for what Cedric's like, okay, if she holds her end of the bargain, Cedric will uphold his. If she doesn't, Cedric will go using all of his tracking skills and hunt her back down again, just like he did this time. But it's like it's going okay. She makes a
Here comes the
plausible
hag.
argument. There's something bigger afoot here in the world, and maybe I should stop and listen because my character's had that very brief moment where I'm going, I'm not in Kansas anymore. So I know that there's worlds out there.
See,
What's the very first thing that I do to them? Say in first level, throw them into the Shadowfell, just for or my take on the Shadowfell, just for a moment, a taste.
Yeah. Of course, you gave us the opportunity to get him back out again and an arm that we could poke through portals to see what happened when we pulled the arm back out again.
got a question from Mighty asking me to see what's the longest session of Roan you've seen played or played yourself. And now, in terms of GMing, I had a session that was 12 sessions and technically hasn't ended because the people who sat in on my game, a bunch of my friends over in Maryland, they were really gung-ho about being able to do another session with their characters. The fun of when you run characters and have fun, you want to see them continue their adventure.
Mm-hmm.
A session that I've gotten to sit in on, unfortunately, I haven't been able to sit in on a session. A session that I've watched, I want to make sure I'm getting their name right. Because it's funny, because if you Google search Rowan RPG and click to video, there's a group, I believe they're the Brony Videos or something like that, where they actually ran a couple sessions of the game, and it was a lot of fun being able to watch and just know that these guys like the game enough that they did a stream and they have it up on YouTube. I did have. And a heartwarming moment was last year BronyCon. I had a bunch of these guys came up to me. The Brony Show, that's what
Yeah.
it is. The
Brony Show.
Brony Show did run a few sessions. But now going back, BronyCon, I had a group of guys come up to me, and they gave me a big heartfelt thanks, which was really, real warm and fuzzy feelings.
Well, those are the cases. A couple of them they become friends because
they
of the
became
game.
friends, and they weren't even in the same state, and some of them not even the same country, and they all learned that I was there, and they said, well, we all decided to get together, come to BronyCon, fly over to be able to meet you and say thanks. I'm like, guys, that is, it's kind of near tears, because I'm like, this is why I made the game, because I wanted to see friends who play the game get together and know each other.
Yeah, you mattered.
Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I've been thing with this stream actually. I know there's people who have got to know each other because you guys talk to each other outside of the stream, and there's a community that has grown up and built up around this. And
We're just waiting for two of you to get married to each other.
Yeah, and the fact that even on DA, people who have have gotten to know each other and have gotten to know me through my work, and there's literally probably hundreds of thousands of people on DA, millions of pages of stuff, but folks take the time out of their life to look at my stuff, and it's like, well, thank you very much. That means a lot.
Yeah, a quick thing to Deathlight. So I've heard some of the Monday streams. So it's interesting knowing it's you. One thing for the Brony Show, especially if things were still going, is I would definitely love to be able to chat with you guys in a stream, or even run a game for you guys, give you guys a fun little one shot. Talk a little bit more about Roan and things like that.
Yeah.
Oh, well, nothing impossible. In all honesty, when you have a bunch of people come up to you that got together because of your creation, believe me, you get a lot of the warm and fuzzies kind of start tugging at your heartstrings,
Well, it's
because
like-
it does feel really nice.
Yeah.
The most emotional investment that my time and effort has meant something.
Plus knowing that you didn't just sink over $70,000 into something for nothing. That's the biggest
Yeah.
thing. Yes, end near net result for the creation of Roan itself and things to make it move was near almost $70,000. That's got to make you think a moment when my Kickstarter was successful at a little over 20,000. There is a lot that goes into it, especially because I'm not printing 10,000 books at a savings of a major percentage savings. I'm pretty much doing print on demand.
And let's just say that we learned a whole lot of things about doing that Kickstarter, and when we do the next Kickstarter, we're going to do it differently.
I might actually take advantage of Indiegogo since it seems Indiegogo does offer a lot more flexibility in its options. I don't know yet.
Well, that's
Kickstarter does seem to be cleaning a lot of the problems that I had before up as well.
Right. Yeah, that's actually something that's for Isotopes of Harmony. I've already, I've got experience in doing vanity press printing. I mean, that painting right behind you is the that is the dust jacket of the Associated Student Bodies yearbook, which is a graphic novel collection of the Associated Student Bodies comics that I wrote and edited and everything except arted and a little bit of lettering and shading back around 2000. And I've been talking to a group called Print Ninja.
2002.
Yeah, 2000. Well, that's the
That's graphic novel.
dust
That's
jacket.
2002. So I think the graphic novel is actually back in the 90s even.
Well, the comics were 1998 through 2000.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I've been speaking to a group called Print Ninja. And one of the things that they do games and books, and one of the things that they deal with is the fact that a lot of people coming to them are funding through Kickstarter, and they have a department that all they do is advise people on how to make a Kickstarter successful. Here's your real expenses. Did you realize that printing is not the most expensive thing? Number one is art, number two is shipping, number three is printing. All people do is get printing prices and then forget everything else.
I had the benefit of Session Towers. Session Towers I had met at Gen Con. And what I've learned is pretty much almost every successful Gen Conner who had a booth for pushing some form of a Kickstarter, a lot of their successes came from talking to Session Towers, because he's like, this is what you need to know about the real world.
I think he's the one that he wrote a really, really excellent blog on how to do a successful Kickstarter, how to do a budget.
Oh, yes.
And here's all the things you didn't think about. Yeah, how much are you going to pay your accountant? Oh, you weren't going to have an accountant? Well, okay, we'll see you in tax court, assuming that you make it that far. And a perfect example of this, a big Kickstarter that I put money into and then it all fell apart, was the Tico 3D printer. Inexpensive 3D printer. And
words that you wish would happen, but you realize, oh my God, I tried investing in a dream.
Well, they got to the point where they did the first run of like maybe 200 or 300, but again, all the money just evaporated, and they had to declare bankruptcy. And they were one of the big ones. They were Kickstarter staff favorite. That they said this is a great project. But they fell apart because they were getting things produced overseas, in China like everything else, and they didn't understand everything that they would go through. Just because you get a perfect prototype doesn't mean that you're going to get an acceptable product in bulk.
Yeah, that's scale up thing, scale of production.
Right. Yeah, I don't have a good track record with regard to Kickstarters I funded. In fact, I can think of 3 that I funded that actually delivered. Roan, by the way, was one of them.
Yeah. Which passing something along to you, Clear Skies. Someone that both you and I know, Lance or Shane. Remember Shane?
Shane Rainey?
Yeah, Shane Rainey. Ran into him, and he actually backed the Roan RPG, and he backed over a dozen kicks, if I remember correctly, like a dozen Kickstarters that year. And I seen remember him saying that Roan was the only one that delivered for him.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing that I'd learned in a stream I had with Nate, I was a little heavy on them's fighting herds, but them's fighting herds, like with Roan didn't come out on its direct date because, well, I couldn't adjust things.
Right.
I had to push it back because here's my thing. As long as you will definitely have the product, I'd rather delays and a perfect product than get a crap product.
Yep.
And the thing though is that if you have delays, even if it's once a week, please talk to your backers, because if you're silent for a month, which is kind of what happened when it came to them's fighting hurts, they had about a month where nothing came out. I was like,
People started speculating in bad ways.
and it's like, guys, you have to say something. And thankfully, they had the demo game, and then they did keep up with it. But it's like, you guys do got to, because not everybody has the time to hit your forums and see everything. The only sort of access they might have is when they get that email that goes, here's the update of the day.
Yep.
Now, 3 Kickstarter type things, because them fighting herds was Indiegogo, I think. Was Roan, them's fighting herds, and Hayoshin, bring Hayoshin to the world. That was the concert tour from Hayoshin and Ashley Ball. Yeah, I had the house concert.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah,
Because that happened literally the week that my wife and I got married.
Yep, they eloped.
Yep, we eloped.
Well, by the way, folks, speaking of funding, as we're getting close to the hour, it is time for us to say thank you to University Art for sponsoring Baron by keeping him supplied with art supplies. University Art is, that's right, Art. What is University Art? Well, University Art is a high-end art supply store and framing shop with outlets in where? Sacramento, San Jose, and Redwood City, California. What do we know about their staff? You guys know it by now. Knowledgeable, artists themselves, not on commission, so they can give you honest answers to what do I need. That does not involve the most expensive thing in the store. What do? You know it by now. They do demonstrations, and they do workshops, and they do seminars, and they do craft fairs, and all that other good stuff. They have occasionally loaned us what? Why, their own employees to come on our show to be guests. So we want to say thank you to University Art for keeping Baron, employed for how many years? You all know it by now, 20 years. So very patient people.
Yes.
Thank you, University Art. And particularly to the 2 managerial folks who occasionally lurk, you know their names by now, Mike and Jeff.
All right. I'm going to say this Bat Pony is done.
Nice. Look at her.
Yep.
Shiny butt.
Looking a little saucy there, too. Like,
Yes. Well, why don't we switch cameras? Oh, you already done that. Very good. Thank you.
I'm that good.
Reading my mind.
we got Baron's name here. Oh, well, he's got a chair in the way. We reach far to look at that.
All right. Well, folks, we're going to wrap it here for the evening. I want to take a moment, though, to thank everyone who tuned in on a Wednesday night. This isn't, it's not like you can't sleep.
School night. It's a work night.
It's not like you can sleep in tomorrow, probably. So I want to thank you, folks, for all for tuning in. I want to thank.
That's you people. You people, right?
There. Yeah. Yeah.
That's you.
Yeah, the giant finger pointed this out. So we want to thank you guys all for.
Pinch your head.
Is
That's what we use After Effects
okay?
for.
Let's hear it. Blah blah blah. So Baron, with your Patreon, what is still the hardest thing to keep up with on like pledges? Yeah, sometimes pledges can be a trick and everything. Actually, one of the biggest things is I want to make certain that also I keep up on the Dreamscape stuff, because I know there's a lot of people who are backing me on Patreon because they want to see more of the Equestria Dreamscape stuff. I'm also working on providing more content that's just for my patrons.
Incentive.
Yeah. And that's why I'm doing the thing with, like, the attainment. If you pledge $100, you get a piece of black and white artwork like this out of it.
Right.
Yeah, something nice.
Actually, speaking
in terms
of
his other one, in terms of what was the toughest thing about making the Kickstarter? Making the Kickstarter.
Yeah.
There's no little part that was hard. The whole thing was difficult as a whole. Deathlight. Is he okay? Is Clear Sky? Yeah. Again, let them know they can contact me on Clear Skies GM for my Twitter. You can find it at www.rowanrpg.com. Is another way that you can connect to my Twitter and be able to contact me. And as I said, I'd be happy to support their show. And yes, folks, support us as well. Hey!
And you were going to say something, Cared One?
Yeah, so speaking of Patreon and participation, we have a little project that Patreon people will get to vote upon. And the opening intro with the Wicked game cover and all that, everybody loves it. But again, it's over a year and a half old now, and as I say we're going to late this year, we'll do something new. You guys are going to pick the music.
Yep.
I'll put up a couple of candidates. Let you guys listen to them and say which one should be the next. And
You guys are going to get to choose.
right
If you're
and-
patrons.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things, also for Patreon, you get to have input on things like that. And I really do want to say thank you to my patrons, because it was through their support that I was able to make the plunge and do what I do. This is what I do for a living.
How many years now?
It will be 3 years come this May, because I left on Memorial Day weekend in 2015.
Mm-hmm. I
Nice.
remember when we were first chatting about it, and you had talked about this is the idea going up, and then
Yep.
oh well, here's the importance of writing that big check.
Yep. So
2 weeks and 3 days is absolutely correct. About
that's
that.
right. And so if any of you folks, I know Cold Silver, I know you're going to be at BabsCon. Drop by the table and say hi.
So I'd be happy to have you sit in on a game. And,
Right.
big dream will be, man, if we can get a couple of those voice actors.
No, that
It could happen.
It's a swing. No, dream big, swing for the bleachers, but
It could happen.
they're awfully busy people during the. During
John Delancey might show up with a hoodie and everything, just going, don't tell anyone it's me.
I'm not taking bets.
Yeah. So anyway, I want to thank you folks all for tuning in tonight, and you folks all have a great evening. Get a night's sleep. We all have work in the morning
Yeah,
or school.
Yeah, what's that? Don't remind me.
I kind of miss school.
Yeah. All right.
'Cause
You say that now.
You get spring breaks and you get summer breaks. You
Yeah.
don't get breaks like that when you got a job.
All
you
right.
only have to work half time, and you get to pick which 12 hours a day it is.
That's right.
Too.
So good night, folks.
Have a good night, everyone, and thank you again for allowing me to be here.
No problem.
Good night, everybody.
Take care.